know exist. It's like a perk and a talking and see. Money swallowed like sis. Then I put back to the kid. Got a billion who sang on my head. Got a big better put on the road I just spit. I know we got $1 million. The devil that shit ain't not cheaper again.
Hello and welcome back, fellow anime lovers, to MangaMuse. I am delighted to have you join us once again in the world of fanfiction and fantasy. This is the third part of What If Naruto Enters Hazbin Hotel. Special note, this fanfic is written in a masterpiece of Crowfeast on FANFICTIONnet. Do check and support the author too. Now smash the like, share and subscribe button for more. Also press the bell icon so that you never miss such great parts. Thanks for the introduction. Now let's dive into the world. Vaggie sighed. She had just had one of the roughest nights of her life. While she was not doing treatment due to Charlie, she had to sleep in an empty room until she could get Charlie out of their bedroom. Sadly, she seemed to be content on staying in there, but for some reason she had the feeling she needed to get into the room now more than ever. But she was not sure how to get in given that no one, not even Charlie herself, knew where the extra master key was. F me, where could he have hidden that DMN key? Even Alastor doesn't know, and that freak seems to know everything in this effing hotel. Hearing steps behind her, she saw Angel walking to her with a blank expression. Lately, the two of them have been trading turns checking on Charlie, and she has known that Angel seemed to be less troublesome than in prior weeks. Meaning to her at least, he was trying to lessen the burden on them. But she was also sure this is his way to cash in on a favor down the road. Angel. Hey Taco Breath. She growled. Listen, if Naruto asks, you found it by chance. He then held up a key in his hand and Vaggie's eyes widened. It was the other master key. Snatching it out of his hand, she whispered harshly. How the F did you find the key? I mean, seriously, where was it? Angel rolled his eyes. Better you don't know, because the last thing we all need is someone in this hotel finding out and taking it for their own enjoyment. Vaggie thought it over and shook her head while smiling lightly. Yeah, by the way, tell Husker you can drink all today. I'll overlook it just this once. Angel smiled and went down the stairs before snapping his fingers and rushing back down the hall, making Vaggie raise an eyebrow. Little did she know Angel had found the key in Naruto's room stashed between two runes inside of his mattress. He didn't know what the runes did, but for some reason they didn't react to him, so he guessed they were keyed to certain figures in the hotel. Another thing is that no one would know that while he was giving Vaggie the key, VERYYYY who have snuck into his room quickly and took a few pieces of clothing for herself and stashed them in her room. Back to Vaggie she dashed through the halls and arrived at her shared room with Charlie. Inserting the key, she quickly opened and locked the door. She could see the lights were out, and that the room seemed to have an oppressive air about it. She must really be upset with what happened. Guess there is no point in delaying the inevitable. Entering into the main part of the bedroom where Charlie was, she is shocked. Something was definitely different, and she couldn't help shout. Charlie, what the F? The woman in question was sitting on her bed with a depressed look on her face, but what was shocking is that her body had seemingly changed. Her body was taller and seemed slimmer. Her eyes had red pupils, and her skin seemed to almost shine compared to before. What she saw there was something completely different from her lover, and she had no clue what to make of it. The woman in question turned her head with a soft sigh. Hey Vags, what do you think? Charlie dully asked a confused Vaggie. Huh? Charlie turned to her girlfriend and smiled lightly, trying out a new look. Oh. Vaggie rubbed her arms nervously. What can she say in a time like this? Well, it is not bad look for you. Vaggie walked up and sat down next to Charlie. I think that there are only small changes here and there, but you're still the same Charlie, and I still love you all the same. Charlie smiled, but then frowned, looking away from her. Do I really deserve you though? Huh, what brought this on? Naruto. Vaggie realized what she meant. Look, Naruto, she rubbed the back of her neck. He was hungover. You agitating him in that state probably wasn't the smartest thing in the world, and honestly, it is not something someone wants to deal with when they have a massive headache. I mean, remember what happened on the day of the exterminators when they tried to enter the 7th ring of hell. Yeah, I remember, but that is not what I'm getting at. She looked at Vaggie. Be honest, do you believe in this hotel as much as I do, or are you doing this just to keep me happy? Vaggie was sweating on the inside. I'm not sure. Honestly, I'm not even sure if I don't believe in this place or not. But Vaggie took a deep breath and found her voice after a few seconds. Honestly, I didn't in the beginning. I mean, the whole concept was crazy and insane. I wanted to talk you out of this mess because I didn't want you to get your hopes up and then find they are pointless in what you're trying to do. I mean, it seemed so crazy and too optimistic that I just didn't know what to believe. I was actually 5 minutes away of just telling you that. Charlie frown deepened. Why didn't you? Vaggie smiled lightly. Because Naruto convinced me otherwise. Charlie raised an eyebrow. How so? Well, Naruto took me to the side and explained to me that while he thought the idea was crazy too, he believed that in some manner of speaking it was possible. He told me to have faith in you, and if things didn't work out then you still had us, and that is something we had to be ready to show. But I get where Naruto was coming from during the fight yesterday. You mean how I'm a horrible mother? Vaggie waved her hands. No, far from it. Charlie, you're one of the best I have ever seen. I mean, look at it. You took in a hellhound child, one with unique traits but nothing special about him, and you raised him all on your own with just some support from your parents here and there. You taught him about underworld in better detail, showed him not all things are as evil and corrupt as they appear, and more importantly, you gave him unconditional love and care. Vaggie smiled. I know deep down Naruto feels guilty about what he said, and he just did it in the heat of the moment, but I know for a fact he does love you and wants you happy, but at the same time you sometimes forget he is still his own person. She frowned. I'm sure when he gets back, we can lecture him heavily for his behavior and the way he acted, but he was right in some cases. I mean, look at it this way. He is in 20s for F's sake, Charlie. Charlie nodded her head. You can't keep thinking he is going to stay oblivious to everything and anything. I mean, you said you wanted grandkids, right? So how are you going to do that if you don't let him go out there and explore sec? Charlie blushed at the idea of having little grandbabies, but quickly shook it out of her mind. But that doesn't mean he can act so depraved. He doesn't, Charlie. Just when he is drunk this happens, and you know the reason is because of his childhood with you. He has never explored those avenues, and now he is trying to figure out things on his own. His own sequel nature, what turns him on, what are his K and KS, and more, that is SHT that can really be confusing to a young man, while in the body of an adult has the mind of a teenager and the sex drive of a hellhound. Charlie frowned and sighed. Right, hellhounds next to succubus and other sequel creatures are some of the most fevered lovers out there and worse. They can be right out aggressive when claiming their mates, but his actions seem more intense than the others. Yes. Charlie sighed and looked at the ceiling. I guess you're right. I did smother him too much and sheltered him from hell. She had tears running down her face. I didn't want to lose him. If somehow this plan does work, then I hope that one day he can find redemption, and that means he can find his own semblance of peace, and if not, then at least I still have my son. That's all that matters, is him staying with me and not being lost in this crazy place. Charlie started crying, tears just constantly streaming down her face. I'm afraid that I have pushed him to the point that he won't ever come back, and that my father was right that I'm just making mistake after mistake and I can't seem to stop. Vaggie, hearing enough, rushes to her and hugs her tightly, making Charlie stiffen. You didn't. You're not wrong, Charlie, but you forgot. All children grow up. I can see that you're just like Lucifer in that regard. You don't want your child making the same mistakes or having false hope. That is something you share. But please, Vaggie cried into her shoulder, making Charlie frown. Don't ever think we will stop loving you, because while we might not say it, we are doing all of this out of love for you. Charlie smiled and returned the hug, with the two of them just embracing the quiet and each other's warmth. Downstairs, however, Angel found Cherry rushing through the front door, tired, bruised, and cut up badly. Cherry, what the Where's Naruto? He ain't here. Apparently things got tense and he bounced, but seriously, what the F happened to you? F, I need to talk to him. Something is coming, and it is strong as F. Angel frowned. What could it be? Pentagram City. Kermit was resting. He was sitting on a luxury bed in the middle of manor, and he just took a bottle from the side of his bed and took one quick swig. Ah, what a day. Fought some woman off and made her respect my gangsta, and now I had a great day and more money to visit Ginger again. Getting off the bed, he saw the bottle empty and sighed, while opening the door hearing clicking sounds. "Get that Sesame Street effer." Kermit glared down at them. "I'm a Muppet motherfucker." With this declaration, he leapt over the banister and onto the ground floor below before smashing the bottle into the face of one of the imps, making him scream from the pain and the glass in his eye. Seeing that he is now carrying the sharp point of the bottle, he quickly dashes into the next imp, aiming his shotgun at him, before slamming the glass into the man's throat, leaving him choking to death on his own BLD. He quickly took the man's shotgun, pumped it, and then fired the gun into the imp closest to him, sending him flying, while another imp got hit by some of the pellets. "Bring it, kiddies. I'm Frogdy." Kermit. Minutes later. Kermit walked out of the manor with a smile on his face and humming some tune. Behind him, the mansion was covered in BLD. Imps' bodies were lying everywhere, and some of them were missing heads, limbs, and even some had their entire PP ripped off and slammed into the asses of those nearby. No idea why he did it, but he did it. "Now then, Ginger, you trap, I'm coming for you," he shouted with his arms in the air flailing. "Yay!" Lucifer's castle. Naruto had woken up in better spirits today. Yesterday had been incredibly draining, and worse of all, he had to talk to his grandfather about what happened. Flashback. Naruto had switched to the 6th effing game, and he was annoyed because some Agile was owning his ass in every single effing game, and it was getting old, and it's the same effing screen name. Forbidden Fruit 666. Motha F. Naruto was in the middle of his magic build in Elden Ring, and right as he is about to wreck this Agile with 1 HP, out of nowhere he closes the distance and cuts through him with a weapon that causes rot. F. Naruto slammed his controller on the ground and turned off the game. Turning to the door, he growled, "Get in here, I know you're outside that door, Gramps." Entering the room, Naruto saw Lucifer walking in with a smile on his face and a phone in his hand. "Now, grandson, you should know better than to try and best the man that rules over hell. After all, I'm pretty sure I would be what you call the Elden Lord in this case, or the ruler of Cyberpunk, or more." Yeah, but everyone knows Lilith controls you by the balls, so she controls you, meaning she controls hell. Lucifer laughed. "True, my young pup." He walked up and rubbed his head, making the boy frown, making him frown slightly. So tense, his emotions are all over the place, and the hormones. If it is like this kid is a powder keg of sequel tension and depravity waiting to be unleashed. "When did you get back?" Lucifer was pulled out of his thoughts by this question and smiled. "Just about an hour ago. Didn't you see me snipe you a few minutes ago?" "Yeah, I did, you bot using fucker." "Ha, you wish." Naruto rolled his eyes. "So did Grandma call you?" "She did." He walked over to Naruto's bar and pulled out some of his alcohol and poured himself a drink. While not his brand, he would still drink it. "She told me about you having some kind of disagreement with Charlie." Naruto frowned, and after pulling his knees to his chest, his ear flattened and tail tucked. "Yeah, I guess. I mean," he rubbed his head roughly with both hands, "she just drove me up a wall and I was hungover, and just wanted to get the cure for that sheet before going into that conversation. But no, she insisted that we had to talk about it right at this moment, and all it did was led to more tension between the two of us and me saying things I regret. In particular, like about the hotel, bringing up her ex, talking about her dream and my own doubts, and reminding her of her own selfish nature when it comes to taking advantage of us." Lucifer nodded his head. "True, those are some of the problems I figured were brought up. But it looks like there is more to it. What else?" Naruto frowned and whimpered. I called her the worst mother in all of hell." Lucifer frowned and put his drink down. "Do you believe that?" "No, but," he rubbed his head and growled, "it is so effing frustrating, I can't deal with it. I know it is my own fault I put myself in this situation, but still it is madness that she can't see I have my own effing issues and need to sort my shit out. Like your sex drive and other hormone-related issues." Naruto looked at him shocked, while Lucifer smiled brightly. "My boy, I might not be centered around lust, but I can still sense it like my wife can, and honestly, you are so full of hormones, it is a surprise you managed to ignore your heat." Looking down, he saw Naruto's strong pushing through his pants. "Or not, and you just have a thing for men?" He smiled teasingly, but then saw Naruto growl and moan from the pressure. Naruto, you really shouldn't try to suppress your sequel urges. It could kill you if you're not careful. I can't help it. Naruto growled, and soon his strong went down, but he can hear him panting from the sudden rush and fighting of his PP. I can't control when the DMN thing pops up, and this has caused a handful of confusion with people all around and some wondering if I was gay. I'm not gay, but it is frustrating that it keeps coming up even after I beat the shit out of people. Naruto. What's worse, I'm not sure why, but for some reason even when around hot women I can't control my strong, and sometimes it disappears as fast as it can come. Naruto, please, he waved his hand. I get it, son, I really do. He sighed. Maybe you should reach out to a hellhound that can talk you through this. While I know about everything that goes on in hell, I know that some species of demons have very different reactions and hormones that are hard to explain. Yet Naruto looked at his phone that he put in the cup holder for his drink. Maybe it is time to talk to Tex, but not today. I'm just so tired. Naruto sighed and looked up. I wish there was more I could do, but Charlie would freak if she knew I wanted to do something other than drinking. It was a beach just to get her okay with that. Lucifer sighed. He recalled that day perfectly and knew that his daughter never forgave him for introducing the boy to booze, but how couldn't he? The boy killed his first batch of assassins and scared the piss out of Asmodeus of lust. He was so proud, a true morning star. Boys, dinner time. Lucifer nodded his head and walked up to his grandson and pat his head, making the boy look at him. In time you'll understand your own desires, Naruto, but for now, enjoy your downtime, and when the time comes, you'll understand your lust and your desire for other things. What kind of other things do you have in mind? I mean, I murder and I drink, and soon sec is going to be on the table, so what else is there? Lucifer held out a stick and Naruto raised an eyebrow. Smoke this later and you'll understand one of the basic pleasures of an earthly drug. He laughs and walks out of the room. Humans still think God planted it on earth. How hilarious I made devil's cabbage just for sheets and giggles. Naruto looked down and smiled. Guess I got another hobby. Better limit myself on this one for stress. Flashback ends. Naruto took out another stick and lit it up while taking a quick inhale of the weed and then exhale. Oh shit, rubbing the back of his head, he saw all the messages he had from the previous day and he was shocked. 10 missed calls from Charlie, 5 from Angel. How the F he got his number is a mystery. 2 from Vaggie, 12 missed texts from VERYYYY. Now I really needed to know how the F she got his number. 3 from Cherry, I guess everyone has my number somehow, and finally he saw 1 message from Tex. Figuring that Tex would be the least annoying person to deal with, he opens his phone and sees he has a voicemail. Hey bro, so don't be mad, but VERYYYY told me what happened at the hotel. I hear you are starting to realize you were a late bloomer. Give me a call soon, man. I can shine some light on shit because this is long time coming. Well, if he can really help, then might as well. Naruto pressed the return call button and soon his phone rung once. Naruto, oh man, it's good to hear from you. Been wondering where you are, man. Sorry Tex, I'm with my grandparents in the 7th Circle, and it is not exactly a place most get to see without dying or being driven mad trying to find it. True, listen, VERYYYY told me what happened yesterday. Are you really starting to notice some of the signs as a late bloomer? Yeah, what do you know about it? Okay bro, listen carefully, nothing is wrong with you. You're going through a puberty that has long since been delayed. Honestly, I'm surprised you held out this long without full-on mounting the nearest beach in the yard. So is that good or bad? Both. You see, Naruto, the reason you're having such brutal heat cycles compared to me or the other hounds is that you're recognized as the alpha of the hounds, meaning that your instincts demand respect and you won't back down from anyone. Also, this includes you having the stronger impulses to fight, protect, kill, eat, and F. I'm sure noticed by now, when around certain amounts of hormones you get a huge strong. Naruto slightly blushed with red showing on his fur. Yes, I tried to turn it down by thinking horrible things and then the strong goes away, but it is getting harder and harder as time goes on. Okay, stop doing that. Your body needs sequel release. You're no succubus, but the more you try to suppress it, the worse it is going to get. You need to get some release, man, and soon. So, what, go find the nearest whore and take her into an alleyway and just plow her if I haven't strong? The last thing I want is a disease, man. You don't have to do that, man, but you have to do something, otherwise your body is going to shut down on you. Plus, as the alpha, your instincts are demanding you take as many beaches as you can while finding your alpha female. My what? Think of it as your female counterpart. Someone that no matter how many times you see them, you'll always have in strong for them and desire them. Someone that will keep you in line, and someone that you will come to see as your main wife, I guess is the technical term. How will I know though? Bro, you'll know when it happens, trust me, that's how I met my girl. Naruto sighed. Thanks, Tex, I appreciate it. Anything else? Yeah, one more thing. If you don't want to have sex, man, then just get a blow-a-job or something, man. Trust me, it'll take the pressure off. Alright, thanks, man, and check your phone as I think your boss got my number from you. Are you kidding, DMN? That is the third time she hacked my phone. Naruto chuckled. Your problem, not mine. Naruto hung up and smiled while feeling his strong again. He sighed. Well, I guess I could try doing this solo for now. When one of the maids walked in on him later, she would see a sight that would make her wonder if it is too late to sign up as a pet for the young master. Tribute, the bad guy. Kermit had arrived back at the club and with a fat stack of cash. He walked through the door and shouted, Ginger, where are you? The club turned to him and the bodyguard sighed before looking at the bartender. Hey, mind going to find Scott? Sure. The bartender walked into the back while Kermit was scouring the room looking for his favorite girl, but he never noticed a looming shadow over himself. Hey, you. Turning his head, he gained wide eyes. Standing there was a man with slick black hair, a 5 o'clock shadow, hairy chest, and a muscular physique with impressive height. Scott Hall. What the F are you doing in hell? The man shrugged his shoulders. Nothing really, figured I got here for a reason, but as for you. He took his toothpick out of his mouth and flicked the frog with it. You're disturbing the guests, so beat it, buddy. Oh, so, you want the effing smoke then? Very well then, I'll give you. Scott hit him in the face with a right hook, knocking him down. Oh, what the F, dude, don't you know the rules for engagements? I'm supposed to make a taunt. Why the F am I sideways now in your arms? Scott quickly leaned forward and released Kermit the Frog, sending him flying over his head and crashing on the ground back first and moaning. Scott jumped up, put his hands in front of himself, and did a quick shake jive before throwing his arms out. Kermit got up. Okay, Azul, now you're going to get it. Kermit leaped at the man, but he was caught with one hand by Scott. Okay, seriously, what the fuck? He was picked up in a one-handed chokeslam and slammed into the floor with the room erupting in cheers at the demonstration. Scott crossed his arms over his neck and slashed them down, signaling the end. Quickly picking Kermit up by the head, he put it beneath him and spread his arms again. This led to him grabbing him by the waist, putting him on his back, and holding him above his head with his hands under the man's armpit. He then rushed forward, descending to the floor and then slamming him head first into the ground. Without warning, Scott crawled over and pulled one of his legs up and laid on his chest. One of the girls quickly jumped down and slapped her hand on the ground. 1. The room shook with anticipation. 2. 3. The room erupted in cheers and Kermit laid there unconscious, not knowing what the F just happened due to the concussion he took with his head bouncing off the floor from that last attack. The room soon grew with a powerful light, and everyone covered their eyes and saw a couple of cherubs appearing, and one had a bright smile on his face. Scott Hall? Yeah, who's asking? The cherub sweated. Sorry, sir, but apparently your paperwork got mixed up, and we are here to take you to heaven. Scott Hall raised an eyebrow and looked around him, and it looked like he was having doubts, but one of the girls said, Scott, go with them. He looked at her. Heaven is waiting for you. You were never meant to come down here. Scott frowned before turning to the cherubs. Was I a bad guy? No, Scott. The cherub touching his shoulder, and a light quickly shined on them, taking them up in the sky. You were the bad guy. The room smiled, and Scott smiled down at everyone and waved to them before vanishing in the light. The room cried at losing such a good man, but knowing he was in a better place. Kermit, while unconscious, was lying on the floor, not knowing what happened, but Ginger had shown up just as this whole mess ended, walked over to him, took the wad of cash he had, and walked to the back to get started with her shift. The bouncer would just throw him into the garbage bin, where he would wake up not knowing what the F happened, but knowing that Ginger took his money and now he had to go out and get some more. Rip Scott Hall, you will be missed. Naruto smoked his stick, blowing out some smoke as he walked down the hallway of his grandparents' home. He had a smile on his muzzle, and the servants were happy to see him. Except the one that rushed him with a knife aiming for the back of his neck. But the minute he got within range, Naruto ducked under the slash and turned on his heel to face the unknown demon and slammed his right hand into his throat, his claws digging deep into his throat, leaving him gurgling BLD and falling to the ground gasping for air. He sighed, "Great, that is more BLD to get out of the carpet, but I'm sure the others won't mind cleaning up SHT." Stopping on his face, Naruto broke the demon's nose, and then stopped on his throat, killing him with a crunch. In the last 3 days, Naruto had calmed down a lot, and was growing more comfortable with everything going on. More, he was happy to finally be free of the nagging feeling of his crotch and dealing with his instinct of fighting back and killing now becoming sated. He knew that his mother wouldn't approve, but at this point he was just going to do it either way, so he would just keep the killing to a minimum. Plus, Naruto was eager to start visiting more of the strip clubs in hell to see if there is something to the whole dancers on the pole and the provocative removal of clothes. At least while he is somewhat sober and aware of what the FCK is going on. Which is why, walking down the hall after cleaning the BLD off his hand and his feet, he walked into the throne room where Lilith was sitting. Apparently, it was tradition for the two of them to have at least one person in the throne, as this allowed to them to view everything in hell and know if there is something worth noting. It was some kind of creation of his grandfather, and it was meant to make sure his subjects knew better than to cross him, or even think about hurting him or his family. It was especially true when one of the sins, he thinks it was the one of wrath, basically said that he was going to try and kill Charlie and prove his superiority or something. From then on, the family never utters a word of Charlie to anyone, or even dares to question why Lucifer slaughtered most of their family. They just thanked him for the mercy and promised that they would remember their place. From experience knew the sins were powerful. He was certain he could take on one, maybe two of them at a time, but anything else, and he would probably die in those encounters. Especially true since some of them live up to their strength and reputation compared to others. Back to the throne room, he walked up to his grandmother, who smiled. "Hello dear, having a hellish morning." Naruto shrugged. "Killed one of those dip SHT servants that came here in the hopes of doing something grand, but other than that just smoking a stick." Lilith smiled. "That's good. Have you had a chance to look through your messages?" "Yeah," Naruto looked through them and raised an eyebrow. "Somehow they all got my number, and it is just annoying. But many of them are just concerned about me and wondering how I am doing. I mean, Cherry mentioned something about a Muppet attacking her, but I couldn't make it out too well, and VERYYYY mentioned she was worried and hoped I'd come back soon." "Oh?" Lilith's eyes sparkled. "Is someone hearing wedding bells with a certain succubus?" Naruto blushed. "No, I'm just touched she cares that much more than she wants to jump my PP." Lilith laughed. "I know dear, but you really should investigate possibly finding a mate of your own soon. I mean, for FCK's sake, I'm still waiting on the girl that will snatch your heart." Naruto shook his head. "Well, besides that, I just wanted to say goodbye to you and Grandpa as I'm heading back to patch things up with Mom." Lilith smiled, and after stepping off the throne, she hugged him tightly. "Call if you need anything, and please let Charlie know that I love her. I haven't had the chance to reply to all her messages, but I think that should at least be something good for her know." "Yeah." Naruto pulled away and waved to Lilith. "Tell the old man that I'll be back for a rematch on his cheating butt." Lilith laughed, watching her grandson walk out of the door and smile, knowing things were going to get better for him. Now, if he would only find a FCK girl and start popping out some great grandbabies for her. In the castle, Lucifer watched as his grandson was leaving and could only sigh. "Well, there he goes." He swished his drink and looked on with a smile. Off to that stupid hotel and to help Charlie with this ridiculous concept of redemption. Lilith entered his office and frowned. "Would it actually kill you to try to entertain the idea of Charlie's dream?" I mean, it is not completely outlandish, you should know. Lucifer growled, and the glass cracked in his hand. Not another word about that. Lilith frowned and sauntered up to her husband, who she put her arms around his neck and just leaned into his back. You have to agree that the chance is there though, right? Lucifer could only sigh before taking a small sip of his drink before pulling the glass away from his face. Whether it is there or not is irrelevant. Charlie doesn't know what is awaiting her at the end of this path, and the last thing I want for her is to find that nothing will amount from this mess. You don't know that. Lilith looked at the back of her husband's head. For all we know, maybe she is the thing the world needs to tip the scale and break away from our set cycle. Lucifer sighed. You know, that is just pity wishing, and I refuse to do that. He twitched. After all, I had the same hope a long time ago, and all it led was to this glorious FCK up. Lilith let go and turned her husband's face around. Are you saying coming to me was a mistake? Lucifer smiled. Darling, if nothing else, you're the best thing that came out of this other than Charlie. He frowned. I just don't want her burned like I was. Lilith embraced him on the lips. Honey, trust in her. I promise things might not unravel like you fear. If they do, then we will be there for her, and she will grow from this experience. That is what matters the most. No? Experience? Lucifer sighed. I guess, but no father, no matter who, wants to see their child heartbroken. He gripped his cane. Not at their hands. I'll turn all their little pets into smears if they dare. Lilith laughed a bit before pulling away from her husband. It was times like this she could see the man she loved and the man that loved those close to him. He was not one to mix his thoughts and feelings, but when it came to their family, it was the one time that they were united. Now, if only the dumb FCK stopped being such a blockhead and told her daughter his reasonings, and then maybe things could even out. Not like someone in heaven doesn't know about this. She tilted her head. Maybe that brother of his, what was his name? Gabriel, I think? She shook her head. We shall see, but first I better make arrangements for our visit in a couple of months. Can't wait to see the hotel. Lilith left the throne room almost skipping, while Lucifer could only sweat drop at his wife's unusual behavior. But then he felt something tingling on the back of his neck and narrowed his eyes. What are you doing here? He turned his gaze to the shadows, and his yellow eyes glowed with rage. You know better than to come here, so what is it you want? The person slowly emerged from the shadow, and all one could make out of the person is their white wings and their halo. The person smiled sadly. You sure haven't changed, huh? Lucifer narrowed his eyes. Neither have you. Imp City. VERYYYY was not someone that you would describe as emotional. Not to the sense that she would think about someone all the time and care about their personal feelings. Just enough to the point they agree to FCK her, and then after a few times, she gets bored and moves on. But that is not the case today. Her studio called her and asked her to come to Imp City for a new photoshoot, and while she wanted to turn it down, she needed to get out of the hotel. It was so boring without her favorite hellhound there to keep her company, and while he was refusing her advances, she knew that some part of him saw her and her sex appeal. But he just didn't have the same drive as most. More, Naruto was reluctant, and after the big fight, she was not sure if calling Tex was the best thing considering she had reached out to him personally. If he thought she was butting in where she didn't need to be, she was worried that meant he would stop talking or interacting with her at all. She shivered at the idea. The pink limo came to a stop, and she saw that she was outside of the photo shoot set, and she just sighed, trying to get herself mentally prepared for this. More, she was not sure she could be in the proper frame of mind. From what she gathered, this shoot was centered around the cover of her new album and drawing non-stop attention in the smallest bikini possible, and while she didn't get to wear it at the hotel, she was sure that she could while at the set. Her intentions were to one day use it as a means of esductin, but this could work either way. Just something that would sell her album and continue to keep her groupies happy while they FCK around while she is in the hotel. Entering the building, she just walked through the halls while hearing the hissing and Eminem from some of the demons around her. While normally, she would entertain them and consider letting them have a little bit of fun with her, she couldn't care. FCK lightweights probably wouldn't be able to handle me anyway. Climbing up the stairs, she saw a door at the end of the hall with Tex standing there with a blank look on his face, and she couldn't tell if he was annoyed or just worried. Tex? She smiled, and he returned the smile. "How is everyone?" "Pretty good, boss. Just keeping the idiots in line when I have to, but sadly most can't stop trying to FCK anything that doesn't shake them off." "I figured." VERYYYY rolled her eyes. "Succubus and incubus are always a handful. Well, anyway, I'm heading in." "Right." He opened the door, but then snapped his fingers. "Right, I almost forgot to mention. Naruto just texted me last night." VERYYYY stopped in mid-step. "How is he?" Tex took a small jump from her loud voice, but after he regained his hearing, "He's fine. He told me that he is going to be in town today and heading back to the hotel to talk to Charlie. So probably you'll see him this afternoon. But he asked me to meet up with him about something, and I wanted to ask if I can take off after the shoot." VERYYYY got pensive but smiled. "Sure, just let me know when he is on his way to the hotel, okay?" Tex rolled his eyes. His boss really needed to quit it. "Sure." Didn't mean he wouldn't tell her what she wanted to hear. "Great." VERYYYY entered the room and saw everyone was there and prepped. Honestly, the girls were set and dressed up in their most revealing, and in some cases more covered bikini bottoms and tops, but the guys were just rocking Speedos. While she could admit that some of them were hot in their outfits, she knew that she had to be the standout in this case. So, without warning, she threw her fur coat to the side of the room, which was caught by one of the rabid photographers, then took off her top and skirt, revealing her bikini to the room. Most were shocked into silence while the girls were whistling, and the incubus she could feel their lust. In all honesty, her outfit was very revealing, but it was not to the level of just having pasties and band-aids like she would when going to the beach. But in this case she chose something more along the lines as a single swimsuit that had mid-drift opened for her chest to bounce with the thin strips against her chest barely covering her nubs. If one looked carefully they could see some of the NPL skin underneath the straps. The crotch part of the swimsuit dug in between her butt cheeks, making them stand out more pronouncedly and showing off her barely covered crotch to boot. The room could only whistle and breathe. While it made her feel stronger, she could honestly say she didn't give a flying FCK. Learning that her favorite hound is coming back to the hotel, she just wanted to get this shoot done with and head back as quickly as possible. That way, she could try and get his attention now that it sounds like he is going to be more open. Not sure why she thought this, but it was a gut feeling, and her feelings are never wrong. Stretching her arm, she looked at her right arm and saw the tattoo that was there and the name she had crossed out. VERYYYY frowned. Honestly, just thinking about her ex only PSS her off. It was something she held deep resentment for, and one of the reasons she swore off ever dating an imp. Blitzo. He was a inconsiderate butt and someone that just didn't seem to trust her in a relationship of any kind. Plus, he blew through a lot of her money while they were dating as well, and while money wasn't important to her, she was angry that he did that to her and never apologized. That is all she ever wanted from him was an apology. But no, he had to be a cynical butt about everything and worse, blame her for other things. While true she was tempted at the time to try her luck with some men, since she was in a committed relationship she didn't bother, as she had too much respect for Blitzo at the time. But after what he did, yeah, she got royally FCK up and had one of the biggest orgies ever and had managed to wear out all of her partners, including quite a few incubuses and succubus. She had thought about getting the stupid thing removed, but for some reason she didn't want to, and she couldn't explain it. Maybe it was a reminder of why she hates him. Was it to continue to hold onto the rage and anger in her heart? Remind her that after he did this to her, she ended up meeting Naruto by chance and forming a new bond from the ashes of the old one? She didn't know, but one thing was for sure: she had never thought about getting rid of the tattoo. Shaking her head, she focused on the photo shoot in which they had her get in the most provocative pose possible and the rest of her groupies joining in on the fun. She would worry about her dickhead ex and the sexy hound later. For now she had to focus on business. Pentagram City Naruto had just ordered Xavier to stop at a nearby plant store and picked up the stuff he needed for his surprise gift for his mother. He knew that while validated, he really owed her big for his blow-up and talking to her in such a way. While it is true that he was tired and angry and hung over at the time, he did regret his actions and some of the stuff he said. He knew that his mother was better to him than most and that he took advantage of her when he wanted something, but still, he was willing to admit his faults, and he knew that his mother would too if the conditions were right. Plus, Vaggie was driving him up a wall about everything going on from Cherrybomb and her run-in with Frog Demon and his mother going through phase change. Yeah, it was a weird time in hell since he has been gone. An explosion ripped through the streets and Naruto looked forward seeing explosions and gunfire going off in all directions and he just stared as demons were running away. FCK me, can't I get a break from idiots? Looking at Xavier. Take the back route home, I'll catch up later. Of course, Lord Morningstar. The limo quickly backed up and he was gone down the street before Naruto could correct him. I'm gonna kill him one day, I know it. That or I'll turn him into a chew toy. Naruto shook his head and proceeded down the streets of the city seeing piles of corpses all around and he couldn't help but whistle. FCK. Who are you? Naruto turned his head and saw 4 piles set up, but the one in the center consisting of a green frog standing at the top of the pile. Huh, a Muppet. Finally, someone gets it right. Cool. So you're the frog I have heard about beating up demons and even killing a few smaller overlords. Right. He jumped off the pile. Why are you asking? Naruto shook his head and glared. Because you beat up a friend of mine named Cherrybomb, and while she might not be a close friend, she is still a friend and my underling, so that is a big problem. The frog snapped his finger. You're the hellhound I heard about. His eyes narrow a bit. So you have come to challenge me to a battle, have you? Then let us begin. Soon epic music starts. All Naruto could think is this the FCK music from Godzilla vs. Kong? Flabbergasted. Naruto shook his head and rolled his arms before priming his claws for battle. Not even close PP head. The 2 demons stared at one another before one roared and the other shouted. VERYYYY. The 2 appeared in a blur in front of each other and in that split second, they hear something drop on the ground. Looking down, both of them see it is a bag of green stuff. My pot, my pot. Both looked up and glared. Your pot? Your pot? 10 minutes later. Naruto and Kermit are sitting on a corner and Kermit has a huge blunt in his hands while Naruto has a smaller one. Both took deep inhales and released the puff of smoke. So, Naruto turned to him, we cool? Yeah, Kermit smiled. I'll stick to the south areas since those seem to be up for grabs while you and Cherry keep everything else. Yeah, by the way, why did you FCK her up? She never specified why. He took an inhale of his stick. Well, she called me Sesame Street. Do you know how many motherfuckers in this place have done that to me? I'm guessing quite a few. Naruto smiled and Kermit shared in it. Oh yeah, I have FCK people up because of it, but thanks to this, I have nothing to go for my name. Why? Because copyright SHT. Yep. Naruto raised an eyebrow. That was new. Then he snapped his fingers. Right, Gramps made that ages ago just to PSS people off when they couldn't use his likeness or even things he said was his. I think it was meant to FCK with God or something. Probably, but anyway, I am Kermit, but I'm not the Kermit. He took a deep inhale. Honestly, my time in hell has been horrible. How? Naruto took a small inhale looking at what others might not see, a tired and worn out frog. Well, take your pick. First, my ex takes all my SHT and leaves me with nothing but an empty feeling. My PP head of a brother stole what cash I had left. And finally, I can't seem to get another lap dance from Ginger. Naruto raised an eyebrow. Ginger, really? Kermit sat up straight. You know her? Naruto rolled his eyes. Yeah, that club that she works at is one that owes me favors. Standing up and taking another hit. Come on. Huh, where are we going? Naruto turned to the frog and walked past him. Where else we are going to get you a lap dance? Kermit needed hear nothing else. 2 hours later. Tex and his girlfriend had walked into the club. He had gotten a text from Naruto stating he was hanging out here and he was not sure why. But when he peered through the door, he saw Naruto chilling in one corner, and he was smoking another stick of weed, and he could see the hound was completely relaxed. He also had Purple Skin Demon rubbing her butt all over him, and he just seemed to be taking it in stride. In another corner, he saw Ginger, a very sexy succubus, doing a big rounded lap dance for some kind of frog who was watching her with a big grin on his face. Ginger was known for having some of the biggest tea ties in this place, and Tex knew for a fact that she was more than willing to let people touch and SCK if the money was right. But by the looks of it, Naruto had pulled some strings, and now the frog demon that was raising hell is getting some extra attention thanks to it. Naruto, waving at Tex, shouted, "Take a seat anywhere, man, and relax. I'm not going anywhere for a bit." "All right." Turning to his girlfriend, he smiled. "You want to give me a lap dance?" His girlfriend gave him a raised eyebrow, putting her hand on her hip and staring straight into his one red eye. "You got cash?" Tex patted his pocket and felt around until he saw he had a card but no cash. "FCK." She smiled. "Sorry, looks like." "Hey, I'll cover him, so stop teasing the poor hound." Naruto held up a huge wad of cash, which made everyone in the room sweat drop. "Where is he hiding that kind of cash?" Shrugging her shoulders, she motioned Tex into a corner before walking into the back quick and then coming back out wearing a very revealing outfit. "All right, my lovely hound, shall we see how long you can restrain yourself before we go into the VIP room?" "Oh, hell yeah, baby." Certain people were having different reactions to the pictures and videos being uploaded of Naruto and the others being in there. Charlie, she was taking deep breaths and muttering something to herself while trying to focus on what she wanted to say to her son when he came back to the hotel. Vaggie was focusing on calming her down while yelling at Angel for bothering Husker, who was just ignoring them all. Alastor was just smiling, and one could hear the static echoing out of his mouth and the confusion written on his face. Luna, who was looking for anything new on her phone, had an annoyed frown on her face and starting looking at herself in the mirror. "I'm better looking than that SLT, right? Well, I know I'm cleaner than her thanks to the medicine." Hearing a ring, she saw a text message, and it was from Naruto. "Hey Luna, got back into town and planning on spending some time at the hotel, but after I get settled back in want to meet up." Sure, what do you want to do?" Luna felt her heart in her throat. Well, I know that you didn't go through the hound training program, so how about we meet up, and we can see how much training you need for hand to hand." Luna frowned a bit, but then smiled. "This would be perfect." Sure, how about you let me know when you're free?" Sure, see you then." Luna walked over to her bed and fell backwards with a smile on her face. She was going to milk this next chance for everything it was worth. VERYYYY, on the other hand, was watching the video and glared. While she was happy A was becoming more open about SXL stuff, it didn't mean she liked him being touched by other women. She was not going to lose D a minute. Seeing this as a challenge, she decided that maybe it was time to change up tactics at the hotel and see how they work. Octavia, on the other hand, was watching the video and frowned. While she was not a SXL demon or something akin, she did have to admit Naruto had some odd tastes. "Makes me wonder if he would like me?" She stared down at her body and frowned. While she was about C-cup for sure and had a Lilith body compared to most, she had to say with all honesty was not the most SXL-like creature out there. It was more of a preference than anything else. But she saw him relaxing and smoking, so she figured that maybe, just maybe, he was starting to explore his feelings more. If that is the case, she need to find a way to meet up with him again and stake her claim. She was not going to lose out. Naruto, on the other hand, he just sneezed a bit and offered the woman some more money and seized her bare melons. He knew that the next few days were going to be a roller coaster, so might as well enjoy some of the freedom that he will have while he could. Naruto sighed as he stood in front of the hotel's front door, smoking a joint before he went in. He personally felt better after blowing off some steam at the strip club, but now coming back, he realized he had to face the consequences of his actions. More Vaggie than his mother, as he was sure that she was the one that was going to rip into him. Not unlike all the times they spent together in which Vaggie was the one that had to be more disciplinary with him, though that didn't come without its own share of problems. Flashback. Naruto was sitting in his room annoyed out of his mind. Charlie had grounded him after he had pranked Vaggie by SWCH her special time of the month pads with ones covered in itching powder and glue, making it impossible for Vaggie to remove said pad when the itching took effect. How was he supposed to know there is a dosage set on those things? Vaggie had been dating his mother for about a year now, and he could honestly say he doesn't like her. Something about her always bothered him, and he just didn't approve of her in the least. Spanish Beach just won't take a hint. Naruto mentally grumbled as he started to make plans for his next prank. The door opens and turning his head, he saw Vaggie standing there with a blank expression. She quickly closed the door behind her and took a deep breath before walking briskly over to the child. Naruto, can we talk? He frowned. He wanted to say no, but thanks to his mother, she took his game console. Fine, what do you want, Veggie? He said in irritation as he pushed his swivel chair, spinning in it so he didn't have to look at Vaggie directly. Vaggie twitched but took a deep breath as she sat at the edge of Naruto's bed, ignoring the disapproving look on Naruto's face. Look, I know you don't like me. I can tell. No SHT, he spat. But, Vaggie gritted her teeth, I love your mom. I want to be with her, and I want to be part of everything of her life. So, can you please give me a chance? Naruto stared. He reached out, before his hand moved into having his palm up, before it moved upward to give her the middle finger. Vaggie's tick mark grew in intensity. Go F yourself. Naruto chided as he pushed to spin in his chair more. I would say F you, but that would imply I want you and I don't. Who know what you bring to the table? Vaggie growled. Look, I know you don't care about me in the least, and I get it, but for Charlie's sake, can you at least try to pretend you like me? Or potentially trust me? Naruto's eyes widened narrowly before he growled. Last time someone asked me to trust them, and I did it. Horrible things happened to her. I'd sooner kill you than do that again. Vaggie frowned. What are you talking about? Naruto snorted. If Mom hasn't told you, then it is obvious that she doesn't trust you that much. Naruto spoke as his chair stopped, his face holding irritation, as if he was above her, more mature, more knowing. Vaggie's tick finally broke. That's it, you little SHT. Without warning, Naruto found himself lifted out of his chair and his neck wrapped around by an arm before he felt some knuckles digging into his skull. He could feel them roughly rubbing the spot between his ears, and he was feeling the friction. You might not like me, brat, but you will respect me. Naruto growled. The hell I will. Naruto bit the inside of her arm and she yelled. Little effer. She quickly flung him across the room and he rolled through and landed against the wall with his hands and feet. Pushing off quickly, he jumped right back at her, but she was ready with grabbing the back of his shirt and throwing him to the other side of the room. He rolled again, but this time after pushing off, she met him with a vicious smack to the back of his head with a pillow from his chair. It sent him to the floor with a vicious thud. Naruto quickly kicked her ankle, making her fall over slightly, and then hit her in the face with a right hook. Vaggie smacked him again with the pillow, but he shredded it with his claws. What too much of a PP to hit back? How are you going to be there when she needs you if you're too afraid to hit even me? Naruto soon found a left hook to his nose, sending him rolling across the ground. Naruto snorted, spitting some of the BLD after holding his nose for a second. Good punch, but not good enough. All any of the servants could hear was scuffling, things breaking, and the sound of something heavy breaking. One of the servants finally rushed to the dining hall and informed Charlie and her parents, who then took off to the bedroom worried about what is going on. Lilith more for her grandson, knowing that sometimes he thinks too big of himself. Lucifer to see how this is all unfolding and if this is the day that they finally become close. Charlie, just wanting to make sure they didn't end up killing each other. Upon opening the door, they saw an adorable sight of Vaggie sitting on the broken bed with Naruto resting his head and hands in her lap. It is even more adorable if not for the fact that Vaggie was cut and bruised all over her face and body, had BLD dripping down her face and several cuts beneath her hair, while Naruto had a bloody nose, dry BLD on his claws, and bruising all over his body. Vaggie. The girl smiled at Charlie. It's all good. I think he is starting to like me now. Lilith just stared. Charlie rushed over to the two of them and checked on them, and Lucifer. He was just on the ground laughing. Flashback ends. Naruto sighed as he dropped his roach, squishing it into the ground with his foot. Yeah, that was a very interesting day, and the first day he started to develop respect for her. But he knew this was inevitable, so he quickly knocked on the door, and he saw it swing open. Alastor smiled. Greetings, my young hound. Have you returned from your romp through mayhem, chaos, and HRNE that I dare not ask about? Naruto deadpanned. Yeah, got that stuff out of my system. Now move. The red demon smiled and moved out of his way. Charlie is waiting for you in the other room, Alastor said as his smile grew a few centimeters bigger. Naruto nodded his head and quickly walked out of the entranceway and proceeded to the foyer where the bar and everything was located. There he saw Angel chilling by the bar, but he was not drinking, just reading what looked like some demon gossip magazine and seemed bored. Husker was drinking. Naruto jumped over a blur that was rushing for his legs and stared, seeing his mother walking up to him and her new look. The F? I'm gone for a little while and this happens. Charlie laughed. Well, I thought a change was necessary and honestly, I think this works better, no. Naruto shrugged his shoulders. You look good either way, so I'm not one to complain. Charlie smiled. Naruto, look, she gave a subtle glance leading to Husker sighing. He quickly whipped out a big bottle of expensive-looking booze, and like a horse following a dangling carrot in front of them, Angel followed him as he just held it out of his reach. Once the room was empty, son and mother sat down on the couch and stared at one another. An awkward silence fell on both. What were they supposed to say after all these days? Naruto rubbed the back of his neck. Look, Mom, I wanted to say I'm sorry. He stared at her. SHT has been adding up lately, and between my growing horniness and everything else that was going on, I guess I just blew up. I didn't mean what I said, but I do wish things were different than they were as a child. Charlie smiled and sighed. Yes, and I can admit that I pushed too much on you at times. It is not fair that I try to control everything you do. I mean, for F's sakes, you're 24. How are you going to find your own life if I don't let you? Her eyes water a bit. But my fear is that when you do start your own life, I won't see you as much, and losing you is terrifying for me. Naruto nodded his head. Yeah, Grandma said the same thing, remembering one of their dinners. But smothering me is not helping, which is why I wish you could be more open about certain activities. Charlie sighed. All right, so what are your demands then? Naruto raised an eyebrow. Where did this side of his mother come from? I want to be able to smoke weed without you getting on me about it. I'm not smoking like a chimney or nothing, but this SHT is helping my nerves. I want you to stop being so critical about everything I do. I know I'm the face of a lot of things, but I do have the right to do things for myself. I want you to let me make some of my own decisions, even if they end up blowing up in my face. Charlie nodded her head. I can agree to that. I mean, you're right, you're old enough, but please promise me that you'll be careful, and you'll still help with the hotel. Naruto sighed. Sure, but you have to agree to listen to me when I'm at least trying to make a suggestion about something. Agreed, but you have to promise not to display your vices in front of the others when they are trying to seek redemption. Sure. Naruto figured that would be a case. Charlie scooted over to him and pulled him into a tight hug, and Naruto hugged her back. He rubbed a specific spot on her back, and she flinched. That spot was a haunting reminder of the past. Hey. Naruto pulled away. Grab Vaggie and follow me outside, there is something I want us to do. Charlie raised an eyebrow, but quickly walked out of the room, calling Vaggie into the room. Upon Vaggie arriving in the room, Naruto motioned them to follow him outside to the back of the hotel. Which there, they saw something they have never seen before, and it is surprising. A giant pink tree is standing there blooming brightly for all to see, and that the tree even had small flowers falling and covering parts of the ground with. Both women are shocked by this display, but were even more surprised to see a picnic blanket out there with a basket sitting on top of it. Mom, Vaggie, to make up for the mess I caused when I left, I decided the three of us should have a nice picnic under the peeling tree. The two women were surprised. Naruto, how did you? Naruto waved off his mother's thought. Not really important how I pulled it off, just know I did some stuff here and there and got someone to help me out with this little project. Strip club. Kermit is watching the butt around him twerk, and he was just having a blast. Quickly he took a straw and holding it to a white line, he SCK up the line into his nose. No telling where the DMN thing is on his face, but he just screamed. F yes, I'm so effing high right now. Tex just stared. That happened, oh baby, Tex minum while putting his hand on the back of his girlfriend's head and pushed her down on his crotch. He eminem at the sensation of her having her tongue wrapped around his pee-pee and even FNBLNG his ball. Taking her mouth off his pee-pee, she smiled. Keep your eyes on me, baby, or do you want the frog to come over here instead? Tex took the back of her head and forced her back down on his crotch. FCK, you're such a tease. Kermit saw Ginger standing off to the side and smiling while talking to some other succubus, and he walked over. Hey baby, can I get one more lap dance before leaving? Ginger stared at the frog for a second and sighed. Yeah, well, I have some better for you. She took him by his right arm and dragged him into the VIP room, where he found himself pushed onto a couch and having a smile on his face. Ginger casually reached behind her and unsnapped her top, letting it fall to the ground, letting her purple chest stand out more pronounced. Kermit estimated she had to be at least a K-cup, and he was not complaining in the least. Oh, baby, I like where this is going. You should. She sauntered over to him while shimming her hips to lower her breathe and leaving her in nothing more than a tight-fitting thong. If Naruto hadn't asked me to at least give you a day, I wouldn't bother. But, she quickly cupped his crotch, which is hidden, but he could still feel his ball and pee-pee hidden inside. Not sure how this is possible, but it is something that didn't hide his true girth. As a sec demon, she knew one's size almost by looking at him, which is one of the reasons she entertained Kermit. Apparently, this Muppet had quite the pee-pee. If you ever, and I mean ever, try that SHT you did earlier again, I'll make sure that blue ball are the least of your trouble. She glared, meaning, you F one of my friends or try to get more free SHT from me through Naruto, I will make sure you get F-ed by your own pee-pee and eat your own ball. Kermit frowned and paled slightly. Don't worry, baby, I'm not stupid enough. I'll get the money and pay for next time, honestly. Ginger released his crotch and smiled. Good, now please enjoy our VIP special. Ginger removed her panties, and all Kermit could do was stare and say, Huh, so you dye your hair blonde then? A scream was heard and everyone ignored it. Poor Kermit. Tree. Naruto had settled out lying on the blanket with his head in Charlie's lap, and she was busy organizing the food while Vaggie was trying to keep an eye out in case the others came looking. Seeing her sweating, Naruto sighed. Vaggie, you need to relax, seriously. I mean, is it so wrong to spend time with us? Charlie frowned and looked at Vaggie, who was shaking her head. No, that's not it. Vaggie rubbed the back of her head. I just don't care to hear SHT from people who don't understand is all. You mean like that one party? Vaggie rubbed her shoulder and nodded her head. Charlie smiled. Vaggie, she turned to her girlfriend, I don't care what other people think about our relationship. You know this. I mean, come on, I tried dating other people before, and all of them SCK to some degree, and some were worse than others. Naruto growled while having his head patted, smoothing out his mood. But, Charlie smirked, I know that after we started dating you were better than all of them. You were kind, caring, you didn't judge me for my ideas. She rubbed her own shoulder a bit, leaving Naruto to whine for attention. Well, not openly. Vaggie giggled. Yet there are moments where I do wonder. Charlie smiled brighter than before. And that is what I love about you. You keep me grounded when sometimes I might get a little too. She tapped her chin. What's the word? Overly ambitious. Yes, thank you, Naruto. She embraced his forehead. That's another thing. Naruto actually likes you, and you go out of your way to try and be there for both of us. Naruto looked up at his mom and saw the look in her eyes. Sitting up, he let her move close to Vaggie, and soon she took her girlfriend's hands in her own. Vaggie, the girl stared and was blushing bright pink. There is no doubt in my mind you're one of the most important people in my entire life. There is nothing in my life that means more to me than spending time with you at this hotel and with my son. We are one big happy family, and I couldn't ask for more. Naruto raised an eyebrow. What about Angel behaving? Well, he is doing better on certain days about that. What about VERYYYY and her bad behavior, and the fact that she doesn't believe in, he saw the glare in her eyes, right, sorry? Vaggie looked on confused. What the F was going on? Charlie turned back to Vaggie and released a deep sigh. Vaggie, we have been dating since my son was 8, and that means we have been together for roughly 16 years. I have thought long and strong about this, and well, she reached into her right pocket and pulled out a small box. Vaggie gasped and Naruto smiled while pulling out a sandwich to eat. He was wondering if his meat should be screaming. Maybe it was one of the meats that was available that only the stupid souls get eaten alive. Who knows, it is delicious. Vaggie, Charlie held out the box and opened it, revealing a appealing ring with 2 gemstones that are a ruby and amethyst with a gold band. Will you marry me? Vaggie was stunned. So much was happening in such a short time, and she wasn't sure how to process everything. Between the hotel, annoying clients, balancing Charlie's mood, and fending off against Naruto. Yeah, this is the last thing she thought would happen in such a short amount of time. Charlie bit her lip watching Vaggie go through the motions and seemingly showing uncertainty in the question. Naruto understood her conundrum, but he really wished she'd just say yes. Vaggie, the woman looked at her. Is this too much? Is the ring not to your liking? I can go get another. No, Vaggie waved her hands. Nothing is wrong with the ring or anything. Just that this is all so much. I mean, yeah, we have been dating long enough that I did wonder if you would ever ask. Charlie seemed to get flowers around her head. But just that, with everything that happened, I wasn't sure, you know, she sighed. FCK, this is complicated, I mean with the hotel and the clients. Then what happened earlier between you two? Naruto frowned, and so did Charlie. I don't know, doesn't this seem out of place maybe? Charlie frowned and stared at the ground in shame. Was the timing really that important? But that's what makes this the perfect time. Naruto interjected, putting out some food for the two of them. We all went through some SHT for the last week. We have been dealing with a lot of stress, and it is like we are moving on to another phase of our lives. Why wouldn't it make sense we do something to signal we are making a change for the better? Naruto smiled. I mean, you two clearly love each other and were waiting for one or the other to pop the question, and now that things are returning to normal and a new phase is beginning, why not embrace it through being engaged? Vaggie thought about it and nodded her head. I guess that's one way to look at it. Charlie perked up. Does that mean? Vaggie smiled. Yes, I'll marry you. Charlie, nothing would make me happier. Charlie erupted into cheers and tears running down her face as she put the ring on Vaggie's finger. Vaggie looked at the ring and cried a bit too, both hugging each other tightly and soon sharing a romantic embrace. Naruto GG a bit on his food. Too sweet, really makes me sick. The two pulled apart and Charlie hugged Naruto. But son, you'll be seeing more of this. I mean, after all, now Vaggie is officially your mother. Naruto frowned. Yeah, but she still is Vaggie to me. Vaggie smiled. You're still the brat to me. She walked to him and embraced his forehead, making him blush hotly under his fur. But you're now my son too, so expect double the motherly love. Naruto snorted. Vaggie never showed motherly love, but it wasn't unwelcome. No thanks, I've seen videos of what you two do in private. Oops. That's what was on Angel's phone. Vaggie turned to the hotel and ran. Angel, get your spidery butt back here. I'm going to effing skin you alive for recording me and Charlie. Naruto and Charlie stared at Vaggie running into the hotel. Naruto laughed. Well, payback for the version and small PP comments, I guess. Charlie smiled. I guess we can let this slide as long as she doesn't actually kill him. One of the windows broke and out came a spear which Charlie looked at, and after her eyes glowed the spear turned to dust. Well, at least things seem to be returning to normal. Naruto shook his head. Define normal. Charlie smiled and embraced Naruto's forehead, put his head in her lap, and started massaging the spot between his ears. Our normal. Naruto rolled his eyes, but soon they closed. Then it dawned on him. FCK, I forgot to warn Kermit about Ginger's particular tastes. Strip club. Ginger, what are you doing with that? Why, showing you my kind of romance, my love. Okay, but does that have to? Yes, now stop being such a beach. OF. Hours later. Charlie was on cloud 9. She was getting married at last. Her hotel was now back in full working order, and the chaos, while numerous in the hotel, was just homey for her. Charlie was resting on the bottom floor next to the fireplace as the sun started to set. She was looking at her phone with her screensaver having been updated to have a picture of her and Vaggie holding hands to show off the ring. Naruto in the back with a bright smile with his hands held up in V signs. Naruto was currently resting in his room while smoking one of his joints. Vaggie was chasing Angel, still with him, screaming in fear of taco breath, trying to skin him. Alastor was Alastor. Husker was at the bar and Niffty was cleaning the place up. Charlie knew VERYYYY was returning today, but she did not care because her son was home and everything was going swimmingly. A knock at the door caught her attention before she walked to the door, opening it up. Standing there was Kermit, and he had a smile on his face while waving his arm. "Hello there, Princess of Hell." Hi," she waved back. "Is there something I can help you with?" "Yeah, I know Naruto lives here, and I was wanting to talk to him about something." "Oh, what is it?" "I was at the strip club and wanted to ask why he didn't warn me about Ginger and her exotic taste of shoving things in places they don't need to be shoved." He shivered slightly. Charlie glared. "How do you know my son exactly, and why was he at this strip club with you?" 1. We were about to fight, but we got high with each other instead, and 2. We were there to get me a free dance and to party. Plus, we had a gentleman's agreement. What kind of agreement? If it was perverted, she would kill him. Simple. Since I'm now his father figure in this life, I'm going to make sure everyone respects his gangster and making sure he eventually gets his pee-pee wet. The door was slammed. FCK idiot, as if I would allow Naruto to have a father figure like that. She turned from the door, but then heard another knock at the door. Turning around, she sighs before opening it. She was expecting him to be standing there, but this time carrying flowers and candy. "I'm sorry if I offended you. Here a peace offering." Charlie took the flowers and candy and looked around. "Where the F?" "Oh, I have BS powers. I can do SHT that makes no sense." Charlie deadpanned. "Okay. So, about this, what are Naruto's preferences when it comes to women?" The door was slammed shut again. Charlie put the flowers in a small vase she summoned with a wave of her hand and put the chocolates on the reception desk. Another knock at the door and she sighed, rubbing her nose with her 2 fingers between her eyes. "FCK Christ." She stomped back over to the door, and this time Kermit was standing there, but this time he is wearing a white suit. "Okay, seriously, what the F?" "Oh, I figured you might be offended that I was naked. So, I put on clothes this time." She looked him up and down before shutting the door again. Charlie took a deep breath, but before she could even take a step, another knock. Her eyes turned dark red, her horns appeared, and she was starting to grow her fangs. Slamming the door open, she sees Kermit, but this time dressed up in a black wig with purple highlight, black netting on his arms, black nails, and a depressed aura. Hi, is this the place that one can come to find redemption? Charlie's eyebrow twitched. "Yes, you can, but why are you dressed up like this?" "Dressed up like what?" "This is how I express myself, other than listening to death metal and wondering what the point to life is and the conformity that everyone seems so taken with." She didn't know what to make of this. "Okay. Yo, what the F is going on?" She turned her head and saw Kermit walking behind her. "Wait, how in the foo?" She turned back to the Kermit in front of her and then back to the one behind her. "I'm going to ask later how you got in, but who the F is this?" "Oh, I'm another person that died but became a Kermit as well, but I'm dressed differently." "So, you're like me but listen to death metal and hate the establishment." "Seriously, what the F is?" "Yeah, that's true, and I was 6 when my parents kicked me out and I bought my first eyeliner." "Dude, that makes no sense." "Sense is something only those with hope can." Charlie slammed her foot on the ground, making both frogs look at the now transformed princess. "You." She pointed to Kermit. "Go up the stairs and find Naruto and deal with whatever you need to deal with." "Sweet, catch you later." She turned to the emo-looking Kermit. "So, you looking for a place to stay to redeem or?" "I would like redemption, but I'm not sure. My emotions are just nothing but pain." "Oh, for F's sake, either start singing Linkin Park or get your butt in this hotel. I want to help people, but I don't have to deal with weird bullshit." Emo Kermit nodded his head and wandered in, but he started singing Numb by Linkin Park and Charlie sighed. "The things I do for everyone to be redeemed." Naruto was watching everyone getting organized in the hotel. His mothers were trying to get the schedules figured out while talking to VERYYYY about her drinking, which apparently had picked up while he was gone and now has been reduced since his own return. Angel was seemingly behaving better, and even after Vaggie nearly killed him with a spear for the recording he made of her private time with Charlie. He is starting to show more progress, if not by the smallest margins, such as not having any drugs in the last month, cutting back on his drinking, and seemingly being more cooperative and opinionated about his treatment and goals. Naruto nodded his head that he was still antagonistic to the others, but that is just Angel being Angel. Their newest tenant Kermit seemed to be resistant to treatment, but he was at least pretending to care about the treatment, at least when he didn't PSS off Naruto. Flashback. Naruto was scouring the hotel. He had only been back, but he had been out of his stash already. FCK, I couldn't have smoked all that SHT already. What's going on? Naruto turned his head and saw Kermit standing there with a blank expression on his face while carrying a gun in his right hand. Kermit, why do you have a gun? Oh, I was going to go shoot some hoes that have been bothering Ginger for the last week, but I could sense you were in trouble. How the F? Naruto waved his hands. You know what, that is not important. Look, can you help me find my stash? Stash, you mean your weed? Yeah. Naruto rubbed his head in frustration. I effing have a pack that I leave on the ground floor of the hotel and Husker monitors it to let me know when I need to buy some more. But he told me that somehow I had run out and he was too drunk to remember what happened. So, someone stole your SHT, huh? Okay, let's take a look. I smell weed. Naruto stared at him, turned his head where he was looking, and saw it was facing the stairs. Racing up the stairs, they enter one of the bedrooms and saw Imo sitting with a bong and the room covered in smoke. Hey, wanna hit? Naruto's eyes widened and twitched. Kermit shook his head. Bro, did you take the weed from downstairs? Yeah, the establishment is holding me down, man, and consumerism has just been a beach. So, when one can find a free stash on hand, one must share the wealth. Naruto's eyes narrowed. What the F, you're Imo, not a effing hippie. Imo shrugged. Can't I be both? Naruto growled. Yeah, well, there is one effing problem of smoking my SHT. Oh, thanks, it was good. Charlie is handling the garden around the hotel and saw Imo Kermit thrown out a window to the ground below. Don't touch my SHT. Charlie's sweat dropped. Might want to invest in some better security for that stash of his. Flashback ends. Naruto since then had kept his weed in his room away from everyone until they could get better security for the ground floor, but for now, other than that, Imo never touched his SHT after that incident. Kermit disappeared after that and only reappeared later with some more food and another stash of weed for him. Apparently knocking over a crime lord who was having his goons harass the STRPR he is on is not a good thing. Who knew? Naruto looked at the room and saw that everyone was busy, and with Alastor, who knows where these days, Naruto figured he'd go through his phone for something to do. No attacks mean a free day to do something. Then he remembered Luna. He promised to meet up with her and train her in fighting, as she never went through the channels with the rest of the Hellhounds recently. Pulling up his phone, he dialed a number and waited for the ringing to finish. Imp. Luna was sitting in the office, bored out of her mind, going through her hellbook and occasionally looking at fuckbook. She went on the later to see who was effing who these days, as celebrities liked sharing that stuff with the rest of hell. Not that she cared, but it would be interesting to see if there are any interesting pairings or if Naruto somehow managed to make it on this site. But she saw a flashing light on her desk and saw that Blitzo was trying to reach out to someone for help with the client in his office. From what she could tell, it was some pissy woman who just got to hell probably less than a month ago and was wanting someone dead for being wronged. Suicide was a beach. Sighing, she got out of her chair, walked to his office door, and knocked, leading to a quick, "Come in." Opening the door, she stared at the purple-skinned demon with horns on her head. Her red eyes were glowing, showing her level of anger. "Okay, you need something, Blitzo?" "Luna, honey, meet our client. She wants to ask us to kill some dumb woman in the human world due to her surviving a murder attempt she made." The woman growled. Luna rolled her eyes. "Yeah, so the charge for this killing is about 50,000 plus medical expenses. Is that fair?" The woman sniffed. "If this means I can see that beach burning down here with the rest of us, then fine, I will enjoy paying for this." Luna nodded her head. "Okay then, We'll have her dead with 24 hours or the killing is free. Luna, hold on, sharp look from his daughter, and he quickly shut up. Is that a company policy? I didn't see that on the sign. Luna rolled her eyes. Yeah, we have had that policy for quite a while. It helps motivate us to keep doing our effing job and actually nuke the F-er that you want dead. Luna pulled out her phone. Plus you're paying an SHT ton of money. Makes sense that we have to work fast and strong. Otherwise, who knows, they might die of natural causes and poof, they go to heaven, and it is the middle finger to you. The woman paled, don't know how, but she did, and she growled. Kill that beach and ruin her, and I might pay extra because I want to see that little beach down here so I can effing tear off her skin and wear it as my new dress. Luna nodded her head. Cool, got it. She finished writing things down on her phone and then showed her the conditions and she nodded her head. Luna might do her job to the bare minimum, but she got the SHT done that mattered. The woman growled and walked out of the room, leaving Luna with Blitzo, who was huffing and glaring. Luna, we've never done that policy before, so why the F did you tell her that? Luna rolled her eyes. 1, holding up one finger, she needs to know we will jump on this SHT immediately instead of PP around and leaving her in the dark. If we actually kill this beach in less than 24 hours, she'll spread it out to others, and this will help productivity go up. Blitzo held his finger up, but then dropped it. Fair point. 2, holding up 2 fingers, we are in the effing hole, Blitzo. We need more work soon, or this place is going to run up so much debt, we are going to have to peddle out flesh if we want even to keep this building. Blitzo groaned. Yeah, Moxie was right, the billboard was a terrible idea. Not that he would ever let the little know-it-all know. 3, holding up 3 fingers, the most important thing is that if we are going to charge those kinds of fees, it would make sense. We have strict guidelines to help run SHT here. I mean, come on, Blitzo, how are we going to be taken seriously if we can't even do our own SHT correctly or charge appropriately? I mean, we have to consider ammo, travel costs, the building, our daily lives, and more so we need to start making more effing money. Especially for killing people in the human world, which you effing know what that kind of mess can cause. Yeah, I know Stolas told me all about how Lucifer and those powered wig FS like to keep things on the DL due to how heaven gets super pissy if we FSHT up too much. I mean, I get it, Luna, but please gameplan with me first. Luna rolled her eyes. Well, whatever, look, let's get this SHT started and maybe, just effing maybe, get this job done without a F-up of some kind. Blitzo jumped over the desk and walked out of his office with Luna. Blame Moxie, that effing idiot is always thinking with compassion and love that it is effing annoying. Kinda PSS he keeps doing this, makes me wonder how Millie likes sleeping with him. He pulled out his camera, also got their latest sex session want to watch. And see Pencil PP try to raise his fat butt for that fat butt axe-wielding beach? Nah, I'll pass. Although Reed, someone in the underworld, took over for Angeldust since he started going clean. Yeah, effing heard about that. Blitzo wandered into the main lobby, seeing Moxie and Millie aiming a crossbow at a picture on the wall of a happy, smiling family. Guys. An arrow fires off and is bouncing around the room, and Luna just stares as it bounces everywhere and soon sees Blitzo catch it before it hits the eel tank. We have a job right now, so everyone quick effing around and let's go lick some butt. The term is kicking, sir. Blitzo rolled his eyes. Mine's better. Moxie rolled his eyes. FCK, who are we killing today? Blitzo rolled his shoulders. Just some cheating bimbo that someone failed to off, and now the person that failed to off the beach wants her dead. Guess that means we can kill the family if we have to. Millie was giddy while Moxie just gulped. Luna rolled her eyes. Moxie really needed to man up and just do his effing job. It is not like the earth is full of saints. If some beach FS another person's husband leading to murder, then so be it. But that doesn't mean you have to hesitate after coming to hell. I mean, who is the F is going to judge you for murdering a woman and her family when you got paid by the woman that got wronged? Finding the spell book, Luna opened it up and soon created a portal that leads to the family's home, and the three went through. Luna sighed before sitting back down at the desk before seeing her phone ring. Looking, her eyes widened when she saw it was a Chibai Naruto. Answering, she held the phone to her ear. Naruto, hey, she groaned mentally. Hey, way to go, Luna, that was stupid. Hey, Luna, listen, you free right now? Yeah, I'm free. She didn't really have anything to think about until Blitzo called for her to bring them home from their job. Well, I was wondering if you wanted to come over to the hotel. I'm kinda having a slow day today and had one of the rooms made into a training room that I use from time to time. I figured we could do some training to help you fight off any serious horn dogs that come your way. Luna pondered, but then smirked. This was perfect. Sure, I'll head that way now. Great, see you soon. Luna hung up her phone and smirked before racing down the stairs and retrieving the car to head back to her place and get her training clothes on. Something both flexible and easy to move in while at the same time alluring. Kermit's adventure. Kermit rubbed his face and sighed. What the F, where am I? Kermit, please be quiet, I'm sleeping. Turning his head, Kermit's eyes widened when he saw some kind of blue swan-like woman next to him, and she was naked. Only the sheets covering up her entire body and making him sweat. How the F? Please be quiet. A second female voice groaned. Mother is right, we are both tired. Kermit's body stiffened and turned his head, seeing a younger blue swan girl that looked 18, at least he prayed she was, and she too was naked in bed with him. Okay, what the F did I do yesterday? Kermit thought as he got out of the bed, a large wad of cash slipping out. Huh? Kermit picked up the cash, counting it. $2,000? He questioned quietly as he scratched his chin. Wait, didn't I make a weapon deal yesterday? Yeah, it was a chain weapon I sold her. Kermit's face scrunched in thought. Wasn't it to Naruto's girlfriend? Well, not my Naruto, but a different Naruto who was turned into a lycanthrope hellhound by his hound bride-to-be. The doors burst open, startling Kermit as a voice shouted, Honey, I have returned. You wouldn't believe the SHT I had to deal with when it came to that arrogant beach of a niece. I mean, seriously, she married into the Argos family, but she just beach and complains that he F-ed some imp because she refuses to put out. I swear that girl is more trouble than she is worth and doesn't understand. Standing there was a dark feathered swan being that was elegantly dressed and was staring at him with dark amber eyes and wearing a small crown on his head. He is dressed mostly in red robes. Okay, bro, I can explain. The man stared. Well, I'm waiting for a reason for why I have found you with my wife and daughter in the same bed while it smells of sec and depravity. He took out a handkerchief and rubbed his beak. Well, bro, do I have to explain? Yes. Kermit held a finger up before. Look out, it is a demon. The man blank stared. Seriously? Kermit looked. FCK, well, there goes that plan. Kermit quickly got out of bed. Kermit away. Within seconds, the frog jumped off the bed and out the window. F. He quickly realized that jumping out the third-story window of a giant castle onto a thorny bush was probably not his best escape plan. Guards, find that frog. Honey? Don't you effing honey me, who the F was that, and why was he sleeping with you too? Kermit Eminem quickly running out of the castle with spells flying at him. Thorns burying their way through his skin and his entire body bruising from the unknown sensation. SHT, I hope Naruto is having a better day than me. Hazbin Hotel. Naruto heard a knock at the door and quickly opened it, smiling to see Luna. Hey, glad you could make it. Yeah, well, I figure never turn down anything that can be fun, and plus hanging out with you is always going to be interesting. No. Naruto nodded his head and welcomed him into the foyer. Well, as you can see, this is the main lobby of the hotel. Luna looked round with a raised eyebrow. What's with the old-style design? I mean, it looks like time stopped moving in here. Naruto shrugged his shoulders. Alastor took part in decorating the place. As for why, who knows? That man is known for doing SHT on a whim, and honestly, it is quite annoying. Right. Heard that you two tussled a few years back when you first rose through the rankings as an overlord. But was lucky it was supper or I be tasting venison. Luna laughed. Right. So, the training room. Oh, right, follow me. We are going to have to avoid the bar and the upper floors. Mother is having some of her sessions with the clients. Luna raised an eyebrow while following him. Seriously, she got more than just that porn star here. Yeah, surprisingly we have an emo frog, one who shouldn't touch my SHT, and surprisingly another famous star, but redemption is not on her mind, just sobriety. Oh yeah. Luna tried to wrap her head around, who was it? Approaching the basement, they quickly entered the room and saw there was a training mat, some punching bags, weights, and some magical items to help with training, including a dummy that can move on its own. Alright Luna, why don't you do some warm-up stretches and I'll get some stuff started. Luna nodded. Reaching down, she touched her toes with her claws. While feeling something lingering, she smiled. Naruto had started on the wooden practice doll, but saw Luna stretching and couldn't help but watch as her body was more pronounced in a particular area. Luna could feel his eyes on her butt, which are being squeezed tightly in her athletic shorts and showing off more pronunciation of her butt and showing her flowing tail. After a bit of stretching to touch her toes, she swched it up to leaning backwards, leading to showing her head touching the floor and making her chest bounce more pronouncedly. Naruto was not sure, but he was sure that she was at least D-cup by the way her top was squeezing her chest. Naruto did feel his breathe get slightly tighter, making him groan while turning back around to hide his irkton while working on the training dummy. Luna smirked. So easy to tease, thank F he is loosening up. After a few more RTC stretches with her sitting in a split and then showing off her flexibility by literally doing a split on the ground with her crotch touching the ground. Naruto nodded his head at the dummy and had it stand up rigidly with its body, releasing the sound of wood hitting themselves constantly. All right. Naruto stood outside the fighting ring. Fight the dummy first, and then we can test one another after I have a better idea of your strengths and weaknesses. Don't worry, the dummy is on the lowest setting. Luna rolled her eyes and glared at the dummy. Within a small blur, she rushed the dummy, punching it in the head, leading to the dummy's head falling backwards and hanging there with the wires in the neck strained. That's it? Naruto smiled. Don't count your hell chickens before they hatch. She opened her mouth and soon found a brutal punch to her stomach. Looking down, she saw the wooden dummy having hit her in the stomach and knocking her back a few feet. She growled as she watched it reset its head and its eyes flash a message. Got hit? USCK Beach. Luna roared, charging the dummy and hitting it in the head and body with a barrage of attacks. The dummy retaliated with it knocking its wooden head into her nose, making her growl as a little BLD seeped out of her nose. Ah, do you need a break? I know it can't be easy to SCK this much. Another roar and a large barrage of strikes and blows where she seemed to get the upper hand and was even biting offending limbs that struck her, but she was countering with pure animal instinct. Naruto had to admire how she fought. It was purely animal instinct and seemed to be to the point that she is able to counter some stuff. But she was too flawed in her fighting style, just settled on fighting on offense and just retaliated after being hit instead of fighting with a strategy or technique. So, after seeing her thrown across the room by the dummy and her growling with some BLD coming out of her muzzle. Beach, 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 and guess what? Beach, you got owned. Naruto's sweat dropped. Guess that is what I get for buying such a cheap training dummy compared to the good stuff. Naruto stepped on the mat and slammed his hand into the neck of the dummy, causing it to collapse on the mat lifelessly. Naruto kicks it off the mat and stands there with a small smile on his face. Okay, Luna, so to be honest, you have some talent, raw instincts, and your bite is definitely something to fear. Luna smirked. But the problem is that you're too erratic. Naruto waved his finger. You see, the dummy wasn't using firearms and alike, but if they were, you could have been killed, and even if you change your attack pattern in a moment of rage, you would throw that out of the window. He then motioned her to him, and she walked up to Naruto, in which he then got behind her. Which is why I think we need to work on finding you a fighting style that fits you. Something aggressive, but enough awareness of your own physical limitations. Putting his hands on her hips, she blushed. Okay, so you're touching me, why? Naruto smiled. We need to shift your core a bit. So, twisting her around, he had her facing away from him and then put his hands on her shoulders. Loosen your shoulders a bit, being too stiff will affect how you can fight. She blushed hotter, but did relax her shoulders, only for him to motion his arms to keep them straight out. There, Naruto then held her hips. Now throw a punch. She threw with all her might, but Naruto held her waists and shook his head. No use your hips, not your shoulders. You'll get more power and be able to roll with the strike better. Luna frowned but did what he said. She found it unusual, but when she did, she felt her strike was heavier. That is the best way to express it. Naruto continued with his instructions for an hour, and then they began slow sparring practice with one another. Mostly so she can get used to moving her body evenly and to understand what he meant with the rolling with the fight. Once she was more comfortable with the rolling aspect of striking, she then moved on to moving faster against him, and Naruto just slapped her hand away, down, and just above him and appearing in front of her with a light flick of her nose. She usually hated someone messing with her nose, but with Naruto it felt more like he was flirting with her. You got to be calmer and try again. Naruto dodged her strikes again, but the minute he tried to get around her, she grabbed his tail, shocking him, and her smirk appeared before headbutting him. Naruto groaned. Okay, that was impressive and unexpected. Naruto rubbed his forehead and sighed. Naruto quickly ripped his tail out of her hands and slapped her on the head with it before slamming his elbow into her throat, knocking her down. Sitting on her stomach, he then put his hands down and smiled. But you need to never relax until you are 100% sure your target is dead. As long as they draw breath, you can't. Luna and blushed with her huffing slightly. Looking down, Naruto's eyes widened and he jumped up. FCK, sorry Luna hands, they have a mind of their own. Luna pouted mentally. I wanted to see where that was going. Luna heard a buzz and sighed. Walking over to the corner of the room, she picked up her phone. Yeah. Fine, I'll summon you guys back in. She looked at her phone's clock. About 20 minutes. Yeah, hole in the shoulder. Look, what you do with the prince is not my business. She hung up the phone and sighed before stiffening and slowly turning to Naruto. He raised an eyebrow before pulling out a stick and lighting it and taking a small inhale. Relax, if this is about Stola's loaning his book out to your imp father, then it is cool. Lucifer knows about it and is monitoring this. As long as they don't destroy a city or something major, SHT should be cool. Luna sighed before groaning. Well, I'll catch you later, Naruto. We should meet up and spar again. That was fun, and maybe I can show you a few of my own personal moves. She licked her muzzle, and her tail waved around in a circular pattern. Naruto's eyes widened slightly before taking another hit. Sure. Well, I'll show you out then. Luna nodded her head, and after leaving the basement they made it to the front door, and Naruto was about to open it when he then heard a hum. Turning his head, Naruto groaned. Charlie and Vaggie were standing there, with one being confused and concerned while the other was more judging. Son, who is this? She. Vaggie held a spear in her hand. Did you bring someone over without telling us? Naruto shrugged his shoulders. Well, you guys were busy with patients, so I didn't think you would mind. Vaggie groaned while Charlie snapped her fingers. Well, who is she? Her smile was clearly strained, and she was starting to release a little of her magic. Name's Luna. She pulled out her phone and texted Blitzo, letting him know it might be a little longer. Me and Naruto met up again while coming to do a wellness check on me. Also, we knew each other at the orphanage until he straight out murdered the beach that ran the place. Charlie stared at them and then smiled, walking up to her. Well, it is nice to meet you, Miss Luna. My name is Charliemorningstar. I'm Naruto's mother, and this, she pulled Vaggie to her, who was rolling her eyes and smiling with her fiancé's hands on her hips. This is my fiancée, Vagatha Morningstar. Naruto coughed. Luna rubbed her arm. Nice to meet you both. Wish I could stick around, but I got to head home right now. Something with she swallowed. My father came up, and he needs me there. Charlie nodded her head. Oh, where do you live? Imp City, and our business is imp. Charlie hummed with a finger on her chin before smiling, and soon she put her hand on the wall and a magical portal opened up, showing the exterior of the imp building, confusing the F out of Luna. There I opened a spatial portal for you. Feel free to walk on through, and don't worry about your car, I'll send it to the building as well. Charlie waved. Please come back soon. I would love to know more about the place my son wants live and getting to know his childhood friend. Luna looked at Naruto and he shrugged his shoulders. Luna, before passing through, rushed over and quickly stole Naruto's weed stick and the 4 he had in his pocket. Hey, those are mine. Later. Naruto saw the portal close and growled at his mother, who smiled innocently. You know one of you has to get me more, I'm about out. Charlie waved her hand and quickly grabbed his hand. More on weed later, tell me more about this little friend of yours. Naruto saw the sparkle in her eyes, and he could only freak and turn to Vaggie. Vaggie. Mom, you mean? Vaggie was enjoying his squirming to get out of this current predicament. Yeah, whatever, Mom. How is Angel doing? Did he behave? Surprisingly, yes. So far, we can say that he has definitely improved, and tomorrow, I think, marks a month clean, but I can't remember off the top of my head. Okay then, tell Angel no sessions tomorrow. I'm taking him to the Greed Ring for some shopping, and then taking him to Giovanni's place. Vaggie raised an eyebrow while Charlie, she was just poking her son's side to get him to answer her question. Okay, but why? Because you got to give them something to reward their good behavior, and what better than letting him do a little bit of shopping and hanging out a famous club while having a few drinks with friends? I'll run security and keep an eye on him the entire time we are out, promise. Vaggie frowned. Fine, but we are going to go over ground rules before you leave, got it? Yeah, Charlie finally pulled her son from the spot he was standing and was dragging him upstairs, mumbling about finding out about the hellhound he was around and what she meant to him. Vaggie just groaned. It was going to be quite the night. Guess she would deal with Angel and the others. Best let Charlie have the mother-son talk. It was just another day of weirdness in the hotel. Naruto was chilling in his room. After the talk with his mother and getting some more weed, he was just wanting to get some rest before the upcoming day with Angel. He was sure it won't be bad, but still better to be prepared. Soon there is a ringing at the door, and Naruto, one effing day, I swear. Walking down, he opened the door and saw something that made him wonder how good his SHT was. Kermit, I gotta ask, what the F? Like it? I really don't know what to say here. Knew you would think it is gangsta. Standing in front of him was Kermit, yes, but for some effing reason he is wearing a Spider-Man costume. Kermit, why the F are you Spider-Man? First, I'm Spider-Frog, branding and all that. Naruto raised an eyebrow before pulling out a paper and handing it to him. What the F is this? Naruto took a hit. Cease and desist and take down for your content. What the F? Mess with the mouse and lose your house. FCK that bro, I'll own Disney and plus Spider-Frog is cooler than their weak butt SHT. Sure. Naruto took another hit. So, what exactly is your powers, and what is this whole thing for exactly? Well, first the costume is super high quality, and yes, I have some of Spider-Man's powers, but I don't have too much of that SHT. But I will admit this costume is tight on the butt. Naruto heard a laugh in the background, but just settled for smoking a little more. Okay, so what is your whole thing? Like, are you all about that great power comes great responsibility? FCK that bro, this is hell. The only thing that matters for me is the 5 Bs. 5 what? The 5 Bs. What are the 5 Bs? Blunts, bottles, and Big Butt Beach. He started waving around a weed stick and a bottle of booze, and Naruto could only watch as some random succubus out of literally effing nowhere started twerking in front of him next to Kermit while he is just waving his arms in the air. Naruto looked at his weed stick again and took another hit. Okay, this SHT is too weird. Naruto simply shut the door, walked back into the hotel, and sighed. And I thought Alastor was effing weird. Soon he heard music and looked up, and outside the window he saw Kermit SWNGNG by the hotel and heading off into the city, and all he could hear was Spider Frog does whatever a spider frog can. He drinks some tea, he steals your beach, even though he lacks a PP lookout. Here comes the Spider Frog. Is he strong? Hell effing no. He went to the when he stubbed his toe. Can he swing through the fog? Heck yes he can. He's Spider Frog, amen. Spider amphibian flying through the sky. To the strip club tonight. Like a streak of light, he arrives just in time. Spider Frog, friendly neighborhood Spider Frog, wealth and fame. Now he's broke, eating tacos is his reward. To him, life's full of stupid beach, and his suit kind of itches. Here comes the Spider Frog. Catchy but weird as F. Naruto saw Charlie running up to him. Naruto, did someone PSS off Disney again? Maybe? Well, father got another complaint from them. But isn't he the owner of Walt Disney's soul though? I know, and everyone is freaking the F out. Naruto sighed, took his last hit on his stick, and then pulled out another one. Nothing ever simple with that effing frog. Naruto could only sigh. He really regretted his decision in bringing Angel to the Greed District. Most people didn't know that the Greed District is divided up into multiple sets, and at the same time most of them were done in varying ways of making greed. There was Nemafia Town, basically ran by the mob, that did all the usual mob activities, and he knew that the imp that ran that place did so with an iron fist, but he was more of a minor thug in hell. Then there was that shitty park his mother took him to, and he met someone there. Finally, there was the rich part of the area, all the booze, drugs, guns, and clothes and other useless SHT. Vanity City. Mostly it was the HQ of the Lord of Greed. They kept the place running non-stop and made sure everyone was making an SHT ton of money in the process, or more. He was making an SHT ton of money. He met the Lord of Greed once, but he didn't really feel one way or another about him since he did give him some console games for a small price. Might have helped that his grandmother was there smiling a death smile. That one smile that terrifies most and turns on his grandfather. Now he felt sick. Holy F, I've never been to this district before. Naruto rolled his eyes. Not a surprise, Naruto boredly looked out the window of the back of the limo and saw all the bright lights and glitz that was flashing before them, and he swore he was going to get sick from it. This place is usually outside most people's price range, and if I'm being honest, it is a surprise that some even make it this far considering how expensive it can get just to eat here. Naruto shrugged his shoulders, but whatever. Man, I'm so excited, there must be a SHT ton of shops to explore. He turned his head, smiling dazzlingly. Is it really okay for me to get whatever I want? Naruto shook his head. Within reason, Angel. Your lucky vaggie is letting you out of the hotel after the stunt you pulled of recording their sex session again. Naruto sighed. He had to rub his snout as this was now a reoccurring thing. Every time his mother's got hot and heavy nowadays, he seemingly recorded it and had it on his phone. Naruto guessed it was better than him uploading to his old page, but it was still disturbing. Worse when he had to stop his mom from skewering him on the end of her stick. But he shrugged his shoulders and just realized it is something that is going to keep happening, and it is some weird way that Angel was reaching out. Not the best method, but hey, you take what you can get. Naruto and Angel saw the car stop and let them out. Naruto was wearing his hoodie and jeans while keeping his phone on hand and texting his mother, letting them know they arrived in the district. Angel immediately jumped out, and before they could get 10 feet from the car or the door, close camera flashes were going off. Yo, cut that SHT out. Ah, my darling public. Angel made some kissy faces and did some posing until he saw Naruto glaring. I mean, geez, can the paparazzi not give me a break? Naruto rolled his eyes and smacked the top of the car. Xavier, we'll be fine, go ahead and wait for my call. We'll be a little while. Yes, sir, and remember. Yeah, stuff the SHT in the magic bag mom gave me, and if anything happens, call. Now get out of here. Naruto slapped the top, and soon the car took off, leaving them in the street with Naruto seeing Angel harassed by a few people with camera phones. Angel, is it true you went straight? How effing bored are you in that hotel? Is it true that you fed the Hellhound Prince? Naruto growled and quickly swiped all their phones with a quick swing, causing everyone to scatter in fear. Geez, 5 effing minutes, that is all I'm asking for. Okay, oh, what's that place? Angel dashed off and Naruto sighed before running after the spider demon. They arrived at a highly-end store with fancy dresses and makeup and jewelry, and Naruto swore he saw the room sparkle. Geez, flashy much. Naruto remembered the time he came in here with his mother when he was a child. Flashback. Naruto, age 7, was growling at the nature of the clothes. This SHT is too tight. It hurts my neck. I feel like I'm chaffing in around my crotch. Naruto, don't touch that, and you look quite dapper. Naruto deadpanned. Dapper, really? What is this, the 1940s? Naruto, what do you know about that time, PRD? Nothing, but I do know that is a stupid thing you said. Charlie sighed and turned to the tailor. We'll take 5 of these in different colors, please. Of course, Lady Morningstar. The imp quickly ran off yelling at people to gather the clothes as demanded. Naruto rolled his eyes. Can I take this? What are you doing? Charlie had her phone out and all he can hear is rapid shuddering. Oh, my son is so adorable. Soon you'll be the envy of all the men in hell and I'll have to be selecting your brides. Charlie broke into tears. I'm not ready for that yet. Naruto just deadpanned. I swear this is the weirdest SHT I've been through, and that is saying that after the purging. Cute grandbabies though, she had a smile on her face and flowers appearing around her head. And she's gone in her own world. Naruto narrowed his eyes at a bruise around her neck though. Did he come over again? Charlie flinched. Yes, but don't worry, I can handle it. Naruto frowned. Why do you put up with him? Can't you just dump him and find someone else? Charlie smiled and hugged him close to her. I wish it were that simple, but love is a weird thing. Naruto frowned harder. That's not love, that is control. Even I know that. Charlie just hugged him close and felt her shaking. Naruto sighed and hugged her back, knowing now is not the time for sarcasm, but the time for love. Flashback end. Naruto remembered a few days later things imploded between him and her and soon things boiled over, and not too long after that she started dating Vaggie. While he admits now Vaggie was better, he did think his mother jumping to women was a bit sudden, and he was not sure how to feel about it. Especially after seeing how he treated her, and just thinking about it made his BLD boil and growl while gnashing his teeth. The workers quickly rushed away from him seeing the prince in a foul mood, but knew that it is not their fault. But it is better to attend to the nosy and overly pricey spider. Geez, Naruto turned his attention to Angel, who came out in a silk red dress with some makeup on. This SHT feels amazing. I never worn anything this good in my life. He smiled at the extra holes. Plus I have to make holes in my outfit. This SHT is amazing with it coming standard. Of course, dear sir. An older imp with a black beard smiled. We have customers from all walks of life, so it only makes sense we stay up to trend with the best of fashion and accommodation for those of the extra appendages. I love it. I want all of this. Excellent, sir. Naruto sighed. He was really hating this shopping trip, but he'll deal. Soon Angel went through 4 more sets of clothes and some underwear which he dares not look at for his own sanity. Once all of it was piled up, Naruto reached into his pocket and pulled out a glowing silver card and swiped it against the machine. Thank you for your purchase. Please come again, young sir. Naruto waved his hand and walked out the door with Angel, who was cuddling the bags of clothes in his hand as if it was made of gold. Naruto rolled his eyes but smiled. He didn't have a lot, so why not let him enjoy himself? By the way, Angel looked confused. What the F was that card you used? Oh, this? Naruto pulled it out and showed him a picture of his grandfather smiling on the car. It's the FCKU I'm Lucifer card. It is given out to Mom and me when we left as a means to pay for whatever we wanted in hell. Yeah, but your grandfather rules this place. Doesn't it make more sense they give it to you? Naruto shrugged his shoulders. Plus, ain't you rich as F on your own for all the work you do? Yeah, I am, but honestly, I don't use the card often, so I figured we might as well enjoy ourselves. Plus, it is not like someone is going to send an invoice to Gramps and demand compensation when he technically owns all their souls. Huh, I guess that's one way to look at it. Plus, it is an infinite account. Say what? Naruto laughed, before pulling out a stick and taking a hit. Yeah, he has this spot in the final ring that just generates wealth. Don't know how it works, but hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I guess. Angel saw another store and his eyes sparkled. Oh, it's a shop to customize your pet. I was meaning to get nuggets. Some stuff, can we? Naruto waved his hand. Angel dashed into the store and Naruto sighed before looking at a nearby alleyway and seeing a shark demon slowly slinking through, missing his presence. Naruto quickly drove his claws through the back of his neck, killing him on the spot. Well, knew this was going to happen. Naruto swiped the BLD off his hand and sighed. Valentino. That effing prick just doesn't know when to quit. While it was true the contract stated that he couldn't do anything directly to bring Angel back, Naruto knew he would use others to try and lure him back with everything he can imagine, and thus having him back under his thumb. thinking the contract will protect him from Naruto retaliating against him. Joke's on him, he isn't bound to it like he is. Naruto just knew that Angel wouldn't go back, not after the progress, but he knew that he was fearful of the moth demon. More so than most, probably due to the abuse he took from him over the years and what he made him do for his own amusement. He was one of the few overlords if allowed. Naruto would have gutted him on the spot, but his father was insistent on leaving him alone, as he kept most of the Rift Raft in line in Pentagram City, so he did, but Naruto knew eventually his presence will become more trouble. Maybe he could get Kermit to deal with him. Now that I think about it, where is Kermit? Someone call for a man with a massive Muppet pee-pee? No, but good to wait, how did you? Kermit smiled while holding the head of some imp mobster. Oh, I was just dealing with some furs nearby in that town, Nomob Town. Nice place if you like toxic waste and stupid people. Yeah, Naruto sighed, but then narrowed his eyes. Now that I thought about it, doesn't that guy from Imp look like the boss of that crime family out there? Naruto shook his head. Nah, probably just coincidence. Yeah, Kermit kicked the head away. So, what you doing in this fantastic place? Fantastic, it glitters so much it hurts my eyes. True, that's why I'm wearing these PMP shades. Naruto turned, seeing he was wearing shades now. Where he got them from he is not sure, but he stopped rationalizing things. Is that Gucci? Yep, got it from their HQ here. Right, most people in the fashion industry do end up here anyway, especially most of them that started in this district. Naruto shrugged his shoulders and saw Angel finally exiting the shop with more SHT in his hands. He walked over to them and Angel was surprised. Kermit, what the F you doing here? Oh, you know, killing some furs, watching tea-ties, you know, the usual. Ah, okay. Angel put the stuff on the ground and Naruto opened up his bag and soon SCK in all the packages and bags, leaving the street empty. Nice bag. Thanks, on to the next door I guess. Yep, Angel quickly started hopping away while Naruto rolled his eyes and took a hit. You know that Fur Valentino is looking for him now that he knows he is out of the hotel for the day? Yeah, killed someone for it. Cool, might I get a hit? Naruto handed him the stick and Kermit took a hit. Both followed him to another store, but it was for swimsuits and Naruto grimaced. FCK, well, not like I'm going to the beach anytime soon. Huh? Kermit turned to him. Why not? Got some personal issues with the people there in the water. Or you can't swim. Naruto narrowed his eyes. I can swim fine, but there is a particular reason. The front of the store exploded with a large body of water ripping through and Naruto watching as multiple demons flying out. Most of them were torn to shreds and filling the water with their BLD. Naruto saw Angel had seemingly remained unaffected, but Kermit was coughing out water. Rushing over Kermit and him picked him up. Angel, what the F happened? Angel coughed a few more times and soon coughed out a crab onto the ground. Naruto stared before turning back to Angel. What, not the weirdest SHT he has seen lately? I don't know, he coughed a few more times. Some butt inside wanted to talk to me and got in the way of someone, and soon this SHT happened because they made a comment. Kermit looked around. Well, they must be pretty strong to do this, and you must be wet with excitement. Angel smiled. You know it. Naruto groaned. No shitty sec jokes. Naruto. Naruto went stiff and groaned. Taking the stick from Kermit, they saw him practically inhale, it leaving nothing but the bare minimum of the bud. Naruto released all the smoke at once and coughed. FCK, cough, my life. Naruto turned and groaned. Why him of all effing people? Kermit looked into the store and so did Angel. Kermit was confused while Angel had a blush. Standing there was a man with long black silky hair, orange and red scaly body, wearing a red thong with a trident on the belt line, and he had gills and green fins. The man was standing there in a forward pose with his hand out and his yellow eyes were fixated on Naruto. Naruto, I see you are doing better, I guess, version. Naruto bristled at this. Nimbus. Who now? Kermit turned to Angel. Got me, but he must be gangsta if Naruto knows him. Angel nodded in agreement. Nimbus, what the F are you doing here? HMPH, the man struck another extravagant pose. I was here procuring some clothing for some of my people. Apparently being in the NDE offends them, so I decided to head their demands and get some swimwear for them. Truly, what a sin. One must be proud of their body, don't you think? He bent down, showing off his flexibility and his toned butt. Naruto groaned. Yeah, great. Why are you doing these weird poses? Do they turn you on? No, they make me question why I bother talking to people these days or going out to different districts when SHT like this happens. Angel raised his hands. I think everyone not in the effing know needs some context, so spill the beans. How do you know this fish guy? Fish guy? How dare you? He got into another pose and gave his hips a forward move. Mr. Nimbus, ruler of the water and ruler of all water demons that dare dwell in my domain. Also, he is an overlord. Naruto chimed in while taking out another stick and taking a hit. More importantly, I'm Mr. Yeah, Nimbus, we effing get it. You don't have to keep shouting it. Naruto took a small hit. Geez, I hate putting up with you. Angel looked between them and Kermit just asked, so do you guys got beef or something? Naruto sighed. Yeah, back when I was 16 I was pretty cocky as F. Got around fighting overlords and starting my campaign of increasing the standings of hellhounds. However, during this campaign I ran into Nimbus and we fought for 3 days. In the end, we both agreed going our separate ways, but swore never to cross each other's path again or enter the other's domain without permission. True, but on to more important things. Tell me, who is this appealing creature before me? Nimbus closed the distance on Angel, and all Angel could do was blush. Me? I'm, Angeldust. Surprised you haven't heard of me. Nimbus shrugs his shoulders. I don't care much for what goes on with surface dwellers, but I do say I wish I did now. You're one of the most appealing demons I have ever seen. You know I'm really a dude, right? Nimbus smiled. That makes you all the more appealing. Naruto narrowed his eyes when he saw Angel getting flirty now. Well, shame we didn't meet earlier, because I can tell you I would suck you dry. Why not give it a try now? Nimbus brushes his hand against Angel's hand. But he quickly pulls his hand away and starts to backpedal. Nimbus, while annoyed that his touch was rejected, he could pick up on the subtle hints. His eyes show lust, but also fear. His body was shaking, and he seemed to be terrified about what his rejection would do. Nimbus held his hands up. Apologizes, I was too forward, would you please forgive me? Naruto shook his head. Whatever, we have more shopping, don't we? Come on, Angel, there is a few more places we need to hit before we head to Giovanni's. Oh, allow me to accompany you. Naruto groaned. Kermit just stared at Nimbus and shrugged his shoulders. Angel gave a small smile that he had a new friend coming with them. Naruto could only roll his eyes and keep them trained on Nimbus and where his hands went. He wanted to make sure that he didn't do anything to make Angel uncomfortable. Hey. Kermit pulled him back. Relax, I think things are going to be fine. With you here, me and my gangsta presence, and that fish weirdo that seems to like to peg and get pegged, it should be fine. Yep, but I know Nimbus. Naruto took a hit. He is not someone that passes up on sec. Trust me when I say most people say he is the best F you'll ever have, and I'm afraid of what happens when Angel doesn't put out when he asks. Kermit shook his head. Don't worry, we'll both be here for him. So relax, let's do our own shopping as well. I got to get something for Ginger and make it up to her for not being there last week. Naruto rolled his eyes. Bring cash and she'll be happy. Ah, my young pup, you have a lot to learn in the way of women. Yeah, sure. The two quickly caught up to Nimbus and Angel. While hearing them talk and chat about their pasts, Naruto kept his senses out for any more attackers. While this is going on, Stolas was sighing strong. Today was a terrible day. Everything seemed to be getting worse, and he was not sure how much more he could take. First, his wife yet again is beach at him for effing an imp. Okay, yeah, not his brightest move, but when you have a ice cube for a wife and someone that doesn't touch you when she doesn't have to, it is strong to feel any guilt from it. Plus, it wasn't like his family didn't know by now. He was sure his father knew, and he didn't care as long as Octavia was around. As long as a potential heir was still kicking around in a family, he didn't care what they did in their free time, and who they fed was of little interest to him as well. His siblings, on the other hand, Yeah, he didn't really talk to them unless he had to, but he was quite sure most of them have F-buddies as well. What can he say? Effing poor people is a pastime in his family. The second issue was his daughter was getting caught in the crossfire of the mess. Between her mother's yelling, him fighting back now, and all the constant tension in the house and his betrayal being the spark of it, he was not sure how much more his daughter was going to deal with it. Plus, she was 16, it wasn't like when she was little. Take her somewhere and she can forget. No, it was more along the lines of dealing with her mood and understanding her temperament. On top of the fact that her mother was hassling her not only for her life decisions, but also how she carried herself. In all honesty, it was a bigger mess due to the scandal of his cheating. Third is the call he just had with his father, and this is what made him start drinking. Flashback. Stolas was standing in the middle of the living room where he saw a dark projection of his father appear. He stood there with his dark raven feathers and red eyes staring down at him with his golden appearance shining even though the darkness. Son, how are you on this fine day? I'm fine, father. Surely you heard about what happened by now and how miserable my life has been since. Ah yes, you cheated on your wife with some imp I heard. Well, he shrugged his shoulders, what can you do? Stolas narrowed his eyes slightly but bowed his head to his father. He didn't want him to see his reaction to his comment. Just like mother, another number or statistic. Now then, you effing an imp aside, there is something I need to tell you as I'm making this call to all your siblings and nieces and nephews. Stolas raised an eyebrow. As you know, charliemorningstar has started up that tacky hotel idea for redemption and whatnot. As you know, we Gosha have never deemed it necessary to bother with this stupid and effing ridiculous concept, but I did hear that she got engaged. Apparently that long-time human-turned-demon she has dated is now going to marry into the family. Meaning there is going to be a big party. Of course there would be. Stolas was no fool. This party would be one of the biggest events in the history of hell. Demons from all over would be there, which meant the Gosha would have to be there along with Stella's family. He groaned internally about dealing with everyone in one event for hours as at a time and dealing with his wife as well. Maybe he can die before that happens. No, then that leaves Octavia alone and he won't do that. Anywho, I just wanted to let you know I'm telling everyone we are going to attend as a family. From there we are going to try and make peace and friends with some of the other clans just to ensure they don't dare challenge us or if we have to erase one of them when the time comes. Stolas remained unflinching as he knew that was his father's real objective. Building and breaking ties with those of standing and making sure they don't get in the way of their family. While it was true that in terms of nobility their clan was high on the social ladder, it wasn't like they were untouchable. Quite the opposite, they were the most in danger to threats. Especially the Seven Sins. Stolas, as you know, everyone knows about what happened and honestly, I don't give two Fs about it. Just bring your butt and that family of yours to the event as it is happening in 2 weeks. Do this and make sure you put up a good front as I won't be humiliated by you in this event, is that understood? Yes, father. Good, I'll see you in 2 weeks. His father vanished and Stolas collapsed on the couch with his face buried in his hands. FCK me. Flashback end. Stolas just sat there on the couch and started drinking more. He was not sure how he was going to deal with this situation, he just hoped his wife didn't bring up SHT while they were there. But there was one silver lining, and that is Octavia would finally meet the young man that brought her out of her shell. Meaning there is a chance their relationship can blossom, and he was hopeful for the future. Feeling the warm sensation in his chest, and knowing his wife is gone for the weekend, he pulled out his phone and dialed a number. Blitzy, come on over, I want to see you. Kinda busy, Stolas. Blitzy, I know you're not. Now come over immediately or no more book for you. FCK, fine, I'm coming over. Stolas giggled and got prepared for the evening, as this is going to be a night he won't forget for quite some time. I'll make Kermit adventure. Kermit didn't know how he ended up here. Really, he had no effing clue. Right now he was staring down some weird cosplayer he guessed, and it looked like a shitty make of Winnie the Pooh. The face looked so fake it wasn't even funny. Okay, so bro, are we going to hug this out or... Pooh rushed towards him and was brandishing a hatchet. Okay, F this. Kermit pulled out a pistol before emptying the clip into the bear, making it fall to the ground with a thud. Kermit sighed. Shitty butt bear, ruin my effing childhood, will you? Kermit walked away from the bear, not seeing it twitch. Another bullet hit it, and soon he was lit on fire. But never forget to double tap if you're not sure and never get close. Kermit had one weird day, and for some reason he wanted some honey. Time to visit Ginger. Naruto was not sure how things got this hectic. 1 minute they were in Greed Ring and doing shopping. Then they ran into Nimbus at a swimsuit shop. Finally, they managed to do some more effing shopping with Nimbus even chiming in and helping Angel pick out outfits that would suit. Not that was he wrong about the outfits, it was just annoying being a third wheel on what felt like a date. But the worst part is that Kermit disappeared, and now he was at Giovanni's with Nimbus and Angel. No, the worst issue is that other hounds that knew him were there and wanting to party, so he had to take part with some drinking and smoking. He always made sure to keep his eyes on the two demons in fear something might happen or someone might try something. That is when he got a tap on the shoulder and turned around only to find no one there. He raised an eyebrow until he heard a voice. "Sir, you should know Mr. Valentino is sending his goons to get Angeldust to return to the studio." "I see." Naruto sighed. "Giovanni, I'm sorry that they brought this mess to your place." "Oh sir, don't think much of it. Thanks to you my business is thriving, and I have more money than I know what to do with. I think it is only right to let you know I'll deal with this matter personally. I'm just letting you know." Soon the figure disappeared behind him, and all he could do was smile. Man, if that man ever had an ambition beyond this place, he could be one of the mightiest overlords in all of hell. Might even be good enough to kill Alastor if he really tried. Naruto took a big gulp of his drink and soon looked over the room before feeling the annoyance kick in. "Okay, where the F are you, Kermit?" He pulled out his phone and went through his contacts and called Kermit. It rang for a second before he heard. "Hello? Kermit, where the F are you?" "I'm at a store to find some swagger clothes. You know Giovanni's is one kick-butt place." "Okay, but it shouldn't have taken you this low. Wait, what about your BSSHT? You pull weird SHT out of nowhere, so why?" "Sometimes I can't do that." "How in the F? You know what, never mind. Why is it taking so long to find clothes?" "Bro, I'm looking at soup." "Soup?" "Yes, soup." "Okay then, just go to another aisle." "More soup." "Then get out of the aisle without the soup stuff in it." "Bro, there is just more soup." Naruto gained a tick mark. "Then get the F out of the marketplace." "Dude, there is literally nothing here but soup." "Kermit, how the F can there be nothing but soup? Where the F are you?" "Soup." "No, I get what's in the aisle, but where are you?" "You dumb hoe, it is the store called Soup." Naruto's tick mark came back in full force. "Why in the F are you trying to buy clothes at a place called Soup? That makes no sense, Kermit." "F yao." The line went dead and Naruto sighed only to see that he had a text. "Uwo." Naruto quickly put his phone back in his pocket. "Hey, can I get 2 bottles of whiskey? I got one annoying frog I want to forget for the night." "Coming up. Hey, but watch the hands." Naruto rolled his eyes as the purple horn demon was quickly finding the bottles in question. While Naruto was dealing with the Kermit situation, Angel and Nimbus were chatting it up. Has anyone told you that you're quite the delectable creature?" "Well, I have been told that after I SCK their PP and empty their ball." Chatting, more aggressive flirting. "I can tell you must have been good at it." Angel gave a proud smile, but it strained. "I was the best, got the creepy fans to prove it." Nimbus frowned. "I see, well then you should know I have been known as to be the best lay possible for most creatures in hell. Not only am I big, but I'm flexible with how the person wants to go. Peg or be pegged, it doesn't matter to me, it is all the same." "I see," Angel's smile grew. "Too bad we didn't meet sooner, as I think I might put some of those poor effers to bed with how good I can get around." Nimbus smiled, scooting a little bit closer. "Well, there is always a chance we can try." Angel frowned. "Sorry," he scooted a few inches away. "Not really looking for that anymore." He frowned and crossed his arms. "I just got out of that lifestyle, and while this new one blows at times and I wish I could go back to my old habits, I have to say, I feel better, I guess, than I did before." especially since I got through most of my worst SHT. Nimbus frowned harder. I see. He sighed. Well, I have to say that is odd. I mean, why are you trying so strong? I mean, it is hell, we are in the worst place possible. There is nowhere else to go, and there is no one to punish you for your bad behavior. So why? Angel looked at his drink and took a small sip while holding it in his hands. Well, I guess, he rubbed his hair with his free hands. FCK, I don't know. But ever since I started doing all of these things I don't know different. Maybe better isn't the right word, but I do feel better, I guess. More complete. I'm not 100% sure. But I don't always wake up feeling sick. I don't wake scared of what is coming next. And I don't feel like I have to be something for someone. I can just be me, Angel. Nimbus nodded his head. Being honest with oneself is the most important thing to achieving absolute happiness. I know that sensation all too well. Sadly, I let it go too many times to the point that I barely remember what it was like. Angel looked at Nimbus. It SCK not knowing how to express your true feelings with someone that knows or won't call you a prissy little SLT. Nimbus laughed. One dared to do that, and I gutted him for it. Honestly, I don't care what others think of my path. If I'm happy, that is all that matters. But, he smiled at Angel, it doesn't mean it wouldn't be nice to detour a little bit and meet new people. Angel smiled. Yeah, I know that feeling. Nimbus laid back in the seat and sighed. You know, I didn't want to ask, but how did you get those marks? Marks? What you talking about, bro? The ones on your arms. Angel held his wrists and bit his lip. Sorry, that's something I haven't shared yet, and not something I'm going to share for a while. Nimbus waved his hand. Apologizes I was too forward. But I feel bad for asking the question. Please don't, I mean it is common you would be curious. Yes, but one should always respect their friend's personal space. Nimbus smiled. So I feel it is only right I share something of me. He looked at his drink. When I got to hell, things were terrifying for me. Really, I felt the same. Getting here was the worst, and it was all because I was trying to do something with DRGS or SEC. Nimbus nodded his head. That's the life I feel into. Nothing but SEC, drugs, and alcohol. For so long, I was just going from one place to another doing all of these things. He smiled. That is when I found the ocean realms of hell and soon established myself my own little home. Huh, is that when you started having the F festivals? Actually, we do have that in Atlantis. Wait, seriously, there is a festival like that? Yep, all the men and women gather in the square of the kingdom, and it is just one giant orgy where people F left and right. No hesitation or blocking, everyone that is there is on the table, including myself. He stretched a few times before doing a few poses showing his bulge and his toned butt. Geez, Angel rubbed his shoulders, might make that a holiday trip. He was trying to be faint, but Naruto heard it and rolled his eyes. Anyway, Nimbus looked into his drink. Over time I got bored. People were the same. They SCK up or embrace butt. There was nothing that was changing, and I grew bored, and even after fighting Naruto, I realized how boring my life had become. It was so boring that I couldn't stand being in Atlantis half the time. I would walk away from a few months and return for certain events and PRD when I was required. But other than that, I was gone most of the time. He smiled. But soon I realized I just have to make the most of it on my own terms, instead of the terms of those around me. I see. Angel smiled. I kinda wished I followed that route because all I got was F-ed again, and not in the pleasurable manner. Who F-ed you? Valentino. Nimbus frowned. I see. He smiled. Well, it would seem that for someone that was once a member of Mr. Valentino's crowd, you are doing better than ever before. True. Nimbus stood up and stretched. Well, if you would excuse me, there is something I have to take care of. He pulled out a piece of paper and wrote down something before sliding it to Angel. Give me a call or text, would love to continue our chats. Angel looked down and saw it was Nimbus's phone number with him drawn in a SXL pose with a picture of Angel doing the same thing. Huh, he is a good artist. Yuff for a mermaid freak. Angel jumped. Naruto, how long? I heard the whole thing. Angel started to sweat. Why you nervous? Well, I was thinking about giving him a few calls and maybe trading some texts. You know, just so we can stay in communication. Naruto rolled his eyes before taking his seat with his whiskey. Relax. If you want to continue talking to Nimbus, I won't stop you. Really? He frowned. But I thought... Look, my grudge with the guy is my grudge. It has nothing to do with you or the hotel, so he can be your friend if you want. He aimed his claw at his eyes. However, if you dare to seek more with him, then you better make sure we are kept in the loop about this. I went through a lot of trouble to get you out of the mess you were in before. I'll be DMN again if I let you go with someone else to do the same thing all over again. Angel frowned. Yeah, don't worry, I'm not making that mistake again. He rubbed his arms. Never again. I don't want to make that. Naruto put his arm around Angel and pulled him close. The poor spider was shaking. It's okay, Angel. I'm not going to let that happen. I'll kill him first. I know, but I don't want you to get hurt. Don't worry. I promise I'm not going to be hurt by him. Naruto hugged Angel with his head on top of his head. You ever tell someone about this, I'll deny it. Yep, but should tell your buddies. Turning his head, he frowned and growled. The other hounds quickly got the message and deleted the images on his phone. Naruto sighed. FCK but. So alright folks, that's all for today. Stay tuned for part 4. Do subscribe, like and share for more such videos. Also check out the story and author Crowfeast on FANFICTIONnet. Press the bell icon to be notified first on release. See you in the next video. Till then, goodbye.